Nectar.
Purple nectar.
He is unstoppable, unbeatable, unbelievable. He's Alex Richter, the Kung Fu Genius.
And every day, I practice martial arts.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Am I doing it right?
Awesome.
I'm doing it right? No, I'm probably
Yeah,
fucking it all up.
Perfect. You look just like IP Man or Donnie Yen or one.
Yeah. Woo! The speed. I actually did like 300 punches right there, but it was so fast, it just looked like 5.
Clearly. That was awesome. That was great. Fantastic.
Alex Richter, Sifu, the Kung Fu Genius in the house, hanging out with the Samurai Guy today. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time today. Hold on, let me see who's here. Who is here in the house? The Movie Dojo Army. You got Jake Hall saying, "What's up?" Alex and the Movie Dojo Army. Oh yeah. We're gonna have some fun here today on the show. So, how has your week been so far, my friend?
It's been great.
Do you train every night?
I don't teach every night, but I definitely train pretty much every day. And yeah, Wednesday's kind of a fun night. I teach my advanced class, so I had to leave a little early to make it here on time for this. But
Thank you.
It's hard to call what I do work.
Hey, I'm jealous. But that is awesome. Oh, hold on. We got another comment here.
There we go.
Jihad.
So he calls me Sigong, which means like Kung Fu Granddaddy, which means I'm really old.
Shout out to Jihad there.
Yeah,
that's right.
absolutely.
That's right.
That's
Awesome.
Troy,
Awesome.
Our student Troy at City
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Martial arts is a wonderful thing, and of course, we're going to get into your martial arts journey and talk a little bit about your legacy and all that, and then we're going to have a fun little bit later and talk about movies because this is the channel. We talk about movies, and you know your stuff, man. When Rick Myers hit me up and be like, we're doing Prodigal Son versus Yip Man. We gotta bring the Kung Fu Genius in here on that, and that's how kind of how we bootleg met at first.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And by the way, your channel is awesome. I mean, I don't have that much time to watch YouTube, but I definitely make time to watch your channel. Like, I love how you got like the horror and the sci-fi and the action and everything, and it's like such a mix of all the like my favorite stuff, and you do a really good job.
Oh, well, thanks, man. So you're a fan of horror as well and sci-fi?
Well, I mean, like, I'm a fan of horror. Like, the guy who did karate for 3 months when he was a kid is a martial artist. Like, I've seen the Friday the 13th movies. I've seen some of it. And,
you're down.
But I'm not at your level in that stuff by any means. So
my level of nerddom behind me, my castle.
That's right.
Oh man, so I gotta ask. How did you come up with the name, the title of the Kung Fu Genius? Was that something that your students just gave you for fun?
Well, actually, no. So I have to say, I use the term Kung Fu Genius with a bit of irony because of all the people that I know in Chinese martial arts here in the States and in Hong Kong. Yeah. I'm not like even in the top 20 of people who like know their stuff. So right. I definitely use the title Kung Fu Genius with a fair amount of irony and sarcasm. Yeah. But actually it came about in the Hong Kong press. I was in a magazine called Apple Daily, or newspaper, and they're kind of like a gossip rag. And I've left my former teacher many years ago, and they tried to like put me in a battle with my former teacher in the press a little bit. Right. You know, my former teacher wanted to say some things about me, and I thought they were very funny. And I said, well, hey, I must be a Kung Fu genius then. And they basically used that title in like the quote. And I looked at it and I was like, Kung Fu Genius, and it's also the title of an old movie. And if you watch the movie Kung Fu Hustle in Cantonese, that's actually what like they call him, the Kung Fu Tin Choi, which is the Kung Fu Genius. So
Oh,
it's
all right.
definitely with some sarcasm and irony, but it's tended to stick. I have a rap song about me with that by that title, so it's
Right,
a
right,
real
right.
thing now.
Copy that. Copy that. Awesome, awesome. I just had to ask because I was like, that title is a lot of fun. I could
It's a
tell.
lot of
I
fun,
had a
absolutely.
feeling. I had a feeling you're like, you know what? Let's just have fun with it. Let's just roll
Yeah,
with it and have a
definitely,
good time.
definitely. It's not serious.
Someone in chat is saying to turn up your audio. I don't know if you can because you're using your phone. I don't know if that's possible, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Are people having a hard time hearing me? I
That's
got to through
fine.
my phone because my computer crapped out, but I hope people can hear me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can hear you.
All right, good.
And I can't do it on my end. It has to be on your end. Got Heather Love in the house saying, "What's going on? PhatSamuraiGuy and Alex and the Dojo Army." That's right. Richter in the house. Mr. Richter in the house. Harrison says he can hear you just fine. So
Okay, great, great. So,
Yeah, so
so
that's
my
awesome.
user error on someone's part there.
it's all good. It's all good. Uh-oh. Is got some more students showing up? What we got going on here?
Wow, look at that. Oh, another so people who call me Sigong, that means they're like students of my students. So these are like
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because I've been doing this for a minute, so I have students who have students, and they don't
Yeah.
call me Sifu, they call me Sigong, which in Chinese tradition is normally a white-haired old man. But you know,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 20 years, so I have some students out there.
Nice. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So let's get into it. What motivated you, and you got the calling. You got the call that you looked up. The light was shining down on you, and you were like, "Oh, I must take martial arts." What started your love
Look at that.
for martial arts?
Yes. So I have almost like something out of a bad 80s movie. I was 7 years old, and a neighbor basically bullied me and knocked one of my teeth out, and I couldn't do anything about it. And feeling powerless, the movie The Karate Kid had come out, and I'm like, I want to take karate because that's what you do. You get beat up, you do the martial arts, you have
Yeah.
your training montage, and you go back and you beat the bully, right?
Wax on.
Absolutely. And I basically had that kind of story. I got beat up. I asked my mom to take me to karate. I started learning karate.
Yeah.
I went back. I ended up having a fight with the guy who bullied me, and I punched him in the face and made him cry, which is like the equivalent of a knockout when you're a kid.
Yeah,
Making the
yeah.
other guy cry is about
Yeah.
the same as a knockout.
Well, this is a movie.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Exactly. And then the funny thing was he joined the karate school, and then we became friends later, and that's kind of how I got started.
Wow.
So-
Look at that.
Yeah, so but the real like thing for Kung Fu, and I've told this story many times, is I was homesick from school one day, and my dad rented Enter the Dragon
That's it.
and brought it home on VHS, you know, if kiddies even know what that is nowadays.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I'm 8 years old, so it's not just the martial arts, it's like the nudity and like the movie is amazing when you're 8
Right.
years old, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I saw Bruce Lee, and I was like, what is this? And it basically changed. Like, I was like, I don't want to do karate anymore. I want to do Kung Fu, right? Exactly. There you go. And there was no karate where I lived in there's no Kung Fu where I lived in New Jersey. But I could get magazines. So every month I got Black Belt, Inside Kung Fu, and I would just read about Bruce Lee and Kung Fu and all this kind of stuff. And that's how I basically learned until we moved to Seattle when I was a teenager. And at around 14, 15, I had the chance to learn Wing Chun from descendants of Bruce Lee's original Seattle students. So it came full circle. I had already gotten a black belt in Taekwondo at that point. But I was like, I did the black belt because I wanted to finish what I started.
Right.
But I always wanted to do Chinese Kung Fu and Wing Chun and go that path. And I started that when I was 15. So yeah.
Nice. Now, it's very funny. You had someone in the comment here saying that it always starts with Enter the Dragon. Goated.
100%. 100%.
And that was such a difficult episode of Versus that we did with Way of the Dragon versus Enter the Dragon. It was really tough.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just, I
Definitely.
had to go entered because it was like one of my first, just like you. You know,
Yeah,
I was just like
yeah.
losing my mind.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's very funny. Like some of the or not really surprising is like some of the greatest martial artists of our time, whether they're in film, stuntmen, or they're just teach and learn. It's always been, well, I saw Bruce Lee.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. I mean, look at
always
that.
the same story.
Yeah. Yeah.
They saw Bruce Lee, and that was it. That was the motivation.
100%. 100%.
And I'm sure. I try because your YouTube channel and your podcast is great. You're trying to keep up with me. I'm trying to keep up with you, but there's so much that you have as well, and your stories are great.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're constantly being asked questions about the legitimacy of Bruce, right? I'm sure that constantly you're just over and over and over. You're answering these questions from people and stuff like that. Here's the thing. We all love Bruce. Bruce is the man, right? But the thing is like, there's always someone better, right?
Of course.
Realistically,
Yes.
there's always someone better. You can have the greatest MMA fighter of all time, and then once in a while, he'll just run into that guy, and he just can't beat that one guy.
Right.
It's just part of the game, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
But to completely say Bruce Lee was garbage, like there's no legitimacy at all.
Yes.
Like he didn't know anything,
Right.
or he couldn't spar his way out of a girl's restroom is ridiculous.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
ridiculous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's when you're crossing. Okay, we're just hating the hate now because everybody loves Bruce. That's all that is.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
you know what I mean?
That's kind of what the internet does. You kind of silo people into like team this or team that, and anything in between always gets lost in the conversation.
Right.
And it's you also have to look at people for their time period. You have the same thing with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You have the same thing with MMA. If you compare the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu of the early 90s and the first UFC compared to the high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu nowadays, you look at Gary Tonin or Gordon Ryan. I mean, these guys are light years ahead of where they were in the 90s, right? And so that's normal, but you don't go like, oh, Gracie's like, dude, that guy isn't shit. You know what I mean? He was the first guy to go in there, right? And so when you look at Bruce Lee for his time period, in terms of the practical side of martial arts, he was thinking about using focus mitts and modern sparring equipment and mixing things and being competent in different ranges in a time when people thought if you could break a board, you were the best fighter in the world. So he was light years ahead of people at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And nowadays, a lot of the discoveries that he made 50 plus years ago are self-evident to everyone who's standing on the shoulders of these giants, right? So, and on top of that, you also have the new generation. They only know him from the movies. So they don't know that he had before he came to America, he had a legitimate boxing match as a teenager that he won. He had multiple street fights. He fought a Japanese karate fighter in Seattle. He had his fight with Wong Jack Man. He had multiple fights. And of course, people are like, yeah, I don't see any videos of that. And I'm like, the iPhones in the 1960s were terrible. They had potato level quality, and that's why you don't see it, right? And so people forget that, and it's like, it's a bit unfair. To deify him is a mistake, but to say that this guy, was not legit at all is completely absurd. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, to say that he had absolutely no skill, none.
Yeah.
You don't have to admit that Bruce Lee could beat everyone's ass and become the MMA champ of today. Right. But to say he had absolutely no martial arts skill is absurd.
Yeah, and also to give you an idea of how stuff gets BS'd over time, that clip you just showed where Bruce stands there, and that was one of his demonstrations. Mind you, that's not sparring, that's not fighting, it's a demonstration.
Yeah,
but
speed.
He goes there and he goes really quick, and you try to block it, and that guy clearly couldn't block it because he kept putting his head down. He was like this. Yeah. That guy is on YouTube saying he blocked Bruce Lee's punch and he beat Bruce Lee. And
Of
we
course.
literally have video footage of him. His name is Vic Moore. He's an absolute phony. And there he is saying, "Oh, he blocked Bruce's punch and he beat Bruce Lee." And it's like,
So he's saying he blocked this that he
that
clearly missed,
dude
and
right there. Okay, look at
he
his.
clearly
look at it.
missed, and
that
he's
the
upset
facial
about missing it.
Yeah, is that the is that the body gesture of someone who just successfully blocked the punch? I mean, come on. So there's like, even when you actually have footage, there are people who are BSing it. Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
But to say he knows nothing is insane.
Nonsense.
It's insane.
Absolute nonsense.
Yeah. Like, one of my favorite heavyweight MMA fighter of all time is Fedor Emelianenko.
Yes.
I hope he retires really soon because I'm tired of seeing him get knocked out. He's way past his prime.
Yes.
I could probably knock him out at this point, right? But to say, now again, just like Fedor, you don't have to admit he's the greatest. You don't have to admit he's the GOAT. You don't have to admit that he's the greatest of all time and he's the best, MMA heavyweight fighter that ever was. But to say, just like him, to say that he had absolutely no skill or to not even put him on the top 5 is insane. Right. It's just people just hating because they want to hate because it's fun, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, yeah, that's the way the internet works, right?
Yeah. So I know you've told billions of Bruce Lee stories. Do you want to give us just a few here? Because I don't want to keep you too much. Few interesting stories from Bruce.
Yeah, so I'm kind of a collector of these stories. I've spent a lot of time in Hong Kong. I've met multiple people who knew Bruce Lee or learned from Bruce Lee, and he's a huge obsession of mine. One of my favorite Bruce Lee stories, which I think I told recently on some podcast, I don't quite remember, but it's still one of my favorites. I know one of Bruce Lee's seniors in the Wing Chun family in Hong Kong. His name is Chan Chi-man, and he's actually Bruce Lee's senior. He started before Bruce Lee. He's still around. He's in his 80s. He still remembers all of this stuff super clear, speaks English. He's great. Yeah. And I asked him, I said, do you have any recollection of, like a good story about Bruce Lee? And he told me that, he knew Bruce Lee when Bruce Lee was young. And then he didn't see Bruce Lee for 12 years because Bruce was in the States. And then Bruce comes back to Hong Kong and he becomes this big movie star. Right. And Chan Chi-man was working at the YMCA in Hong Kong, the headquarters. And all these years later, Bruce Lee walks in and he hasn't seen Chan Chi-man for 12 years. And now, of course, Bruce Lee's a huge star and Chan Chi-man is working at the YMCA. And he's like, oh, hey, Bruce. And they see each other and it's like no time has passed, right? Yeah. They start chatting back and forth and they go, on and on and on, talking about Wing Chun, talking about martial arts. And after about an hour, Chan Chi-man is like, hey, you've been talking to me for an hour. Aren't you busy? Don't you have Bruce Lee stuff to do, as I would like to say? And Bruce says, yeah, I'm choreographing a fight scene with the American karate champion, Chuck Norris. He's in the Peninsula Hotel waiting for me right now. And Chan Chi-man said, well, you've been talking to me for an hour. Isn't he waiting for you? And Bruce said, he can wait. It's okay. and I thought we hear a lot about Bruce Lee having a temper or being very high strung during that time period. Right. But here you see him at the height of his fame while he would be alive. Yeah. And he sees an old Wing Chun classmate of his. And for him, he wants to just stop and talk to him and discuss martial arts. And the movie thing can wait for a little bit. Chuck Norris can wait for a little bit. In that moment, that was the most important thing for Bruce Lee in a time when he was probably the busiest in his life. So I find that is kind of one of the most human Bruce Lee stories that I've heard. And I love that story. I don't know why it's simple, but I think it's great.
That's pretty awesome. He just, hey, I'm gonna take some time. We're gonna talk about martial arts. Thank you, Harrison, for the dono for supporting the channel. Again, going back to talking about Bruce Lee's legitimacy, I have not kept up with Chuck Norris's most recent interviews and what he's been saying recently about Bruce. But again, you can love Chuck Norris, you can respect Chuck Norris. Everybody knows Chuck Norris is legit, right? But the thing is, why would, if Bruce Lee knew nothing, if Bruce Lee was a hack and knew nothing, why would Chuck Norris be training with this guy? Why?
100%. Now, Chuck Norris has changed his tune on Bruce Lee a number of times.
Again? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm of the opinion if you don't like what Chuck Norris says, just wait 10 minutes, it'll change. You know what I mean? So like, but he even got caught talking trash about Bruce Lee while Bruce was still alive.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, he was learning from Bruce. Bruce was helping him and stuff. And let's not forget, when Chuck Norris says, well, you know, who would win in a real fight, him or Bruce? Well, you know, I was a competitor at that time. Before pro kickboxing or let's say full contact karate, which didn't really take off until 74, 75 and later, karate tournaments were point fighting.
Right.
Basically almost minimal to no contact. It was a glorified game of tag. So to compare that and be like, well, I was a competitor at that time. I did tag fighting karate when I was a kid. And I don't base my claim as a fighter on the tag sparring I did when I was 8 years old, okay?
Right.
Chuck Norris, his being a champion, hey, look, for that time, you got to, like I said, you got to put people in their time period. That's what the fighting was. That's what he did. He was the best. But let's not pretend that Chuck Norris did not compete in full contact kickboxing. To my knowledge, I could be wrong. I don't think he did. And so he, you know, at least Joe Louis did and Bill Wallace and these other guys. But Chuck Norris was a point fighter, okay? And so we need to say that. But at some point, he had said something that, like, Bruce didn't really teach him, blah, blah, blah. And there is a letter. You can Google it. You can Google letter from Chuck Norris to Bruce Lee. And you basically see Chuck being very apologetic to Bruce Lee and saying, like, oh, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to say you weren't my teacher, and yada, yada, yada. And that was when he was alive.
Oh, my goodness.
It's easy. You can find it on Google. It's literally everywhere. And then Bruce Lee dies, and then suddenly, you know, then the story changes.
Right.
So there you go.
Right. Wow. I didn't know any of that. Interesting. Very interesting. And again, another martial artist that everyone respects, Dan Inosanto.
Yes.
I've never heard martial arts experts and people on the internet. I've never heard anyone talk shit about Dan Inosanto. Have you?
So the only people in that I've seen talk shit about Dan Inosanto are people on the other side of the Jeet Kune Do argument.
Okay.
If first of all, I've met Sifu Inosanto, and he's a sweet person. He's very skillful, and he's respected by some of the most serious martial artists in the world. He you know,
Kenpo.
In his advanced age, he earned a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He continues to practice. If anyone was the guy who learned from Bruce Lee, and then Bruce Lee dies, you can make a career for the rest of your life resting on those credentials.
Right.
Dan Inosanto never did that. He continued to learn, he continued to train, he continued to explore, and still does. He still teaches kids classes at his academy.
Nice.
So you cannot help but respect someone like that. The only people who talk trash is, like, there's some people who don't like the fact that he has evolved the Jeet Kune Do idea in the way that he teaches it, because there's some people that want to do Jeet Kune Do just the way Bruce Lee did it in his time. And so the only people who talk ish about Inosanto are the people who are on the other side of the Jeet Kune Do argument. And it's always the politics within a family that are the most corrosive. But
Okay.
outside of that family, most people respect Dan Inosanto, and you cannot help but respect him. Yeah,
I've heard I've seen interviews with real legit martial artists, and they will downplay Bruce. He was a hack. He just trained Hollywood stars.
right.
That's all he was. And then and then later they'll say, "Oh well, Dan Inosanto's legit." No, that guy.
Right.
It's like, and the thing was is Dan Inosanto was already legit before he ran into Bruce. That's what people don't know.
Yeah,
he
was an Ed Parker black belt and an assistant under Ed Parker at the time when he came to Bruce. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Oh, thank you, Juliet, for the super chat. Thanks again for watching and hanging out with us. You rock. Thanks again.
Juliet is another one of our students, by the way, and she's awesome.
Oh, awesome. How cool is that? She could probably kick my ass. All right.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. It's just funny. I think it's funny. Again, you don't have to say Bruce Lee is the greatest of all time. To some people, he is. You never know. You don't have to admit that, but to say he knew absolutely nothing is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
We're just hating.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Give me your honest opinion.
Okay.
Because we all know you were inspired by Bruce. You're training under the system. You're a master yourself. Honest opinion: would Shaw Brothers Bruce have worked? I want you to be honest. Was Shaw Brothers Bruce Lee, if he went to Shaw Brothers Studios and made movies, would this have worked?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question right there. At the time of Bruce Lee's death, Shaw Brothers had Run Shaw realized he made a big mistake not signing Bruce, and he basically sent them a blank check. I have heard that at the time of Bruce Lee's death, Linda Lee had a blank check from Run Shaw to Bruce Lee. That was like, name your price.
Right.
And so they had done those test photos, and Bruce did it mainly to piss off Raymond Chow because he used this in negotiation tactics with Raymond.
Right.
I don't really think Bruce's strong suit would have been that really classic style kung fu because Bruce really didn't actually do kung fu in his movies. I mean, he was using punches and kicks that were like from everywhere. It was very eclectic. He was really doing his thing. You don't actually see him doing like classic kung fu movements and styles in that Shaw Brothers kind of way. It would be interesting to see what that film would have been, but I think at the time of Bruce Lee's death, he was bigger than Shaw Brothers. He was making Warner Brothers movies. Why is he going to make a studio film for Shaws at that point, right? So I don't think it would have worked. I think it would have flopped, or it just would not have been as good as what the other guys were doing because that was really not Bruce's strong suit.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about the stories. It was very fascinating. Where on the set of The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, he was doing some of the fight choreography, and the action coordinator freaked out and ran to Raymond Chow and was like, "This guy does not know anything. He can't do all this stuff that we need him to do. Traditionally stuff, right?"
Yes.
And then he. This is so funny, chat. I heard this story, and I'm sure Alex, you can clarify if I heard it wrong. But he's like, he just hit the guy once, and the guy falls down. We can't do this. It's so funny.
Absolutely, because the films up to that time were really, these were former opera actors, so they were
Peking opera,
multi-movement sets and going back and forth, but it was very staged looking, right? And so they expected that kind of action, and Bruce was like, Bruce had 2 points. One, Bruce was a badass. Of course, he's going to kick the crap out of everyone.
Right.
But Bruce made a legit point. He goes, if the guys I'm fighting at the beginning of the movie cause me to use lots of movements to defeat them, how long is it going to take me to defeat the end villain then, right?
So, that's true.
That's why his fight with the big boss at the end is a longer fight because he's the strongest opponent. So
makes sense.
From a story thread, if you're taking just as long to fight the peons at the beginning of the movie, then what is the build up to the final guy? And
Yeah.
the other thing was that first director, who is not Lo Wei, by the way, that first director got fired, and then Lo Wei
Oh.
took over. That guy was like, Bruce can't do anything, and he was the guy who coined the term three kick Lee, or three leg Lee, which is Lei Sam Ge, which is like Lee with the three legs, because he meant that Bruce was only a three kick, three trick pony and didn't know
Right.
anything else. But later, that same nickname, which was used to make Bruce Lee look bad, was actually his nickname because it was like he had three legs that he could kick you so fast with. And then it kind of changed evolution. And then when Bruce became a ladies' man, it changed meaning once more. So it
oh my God,
it was the gift that kept giving, right? So, you know.
Oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, hearing those stories, I was just like, wow, this is really funny when you think about it. It's like he just does one kick and they fall down. We can't do. What is this? We can't do this. Oh my God, that's so funny.
It was not the style at that point. Yeah.
So you started off with Taekwondo. How many years did it take you to get their black belt for Taekwondo?
So I did karate for a short time, and then I switched to Taekwondo. My mom put me in a school with Koreans. They were fresh off the boat. They barely spoke English. They beat the living piss out of me. It was amazing. It took me from about age. Well, I started at 8, but Taekwondo I really started around 9 after doing a couple of years of karate. I got my black belt at 15, and it was brutal. It was, you know, lots of hard work, and it was a very tough test, and it was the old days. Now they give black belts like candy after a year and a half or 2 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So,
Shots fired.
Shots fired. And as soon as I got my black belt, I basically started Wing Chun almost the day after that. So
nice.
It was like a quick turnover.
So how brutal is the training of Wing Chun? How brutal can it get at times?
It depends. Wing Chun is a very aggressive style of Kung Fu. It's very different from the more traditional forms-based styles. 80% of our training is with a partner. And so, you know, someone trying to punch and kick you, you have to learn how to defend yourself. So I teach it in a very safe way because I teach professionals. They don't want to go to school like all busted up or whatever. Yeah, that's me in Miami back in April. Enjoying the sun down there. Got a couple students down there as well.
Nice.
Yeah, but when I did Wing Chun training, 3 of the years I did training was at an old castle in Germany where I trained full time, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. I did that for 3 years, and that training was very intensive. And Wing Chun training can get pretty violent. But it depends on the teacher. It depends on how they teach it. So there's many different ways of teaching it.
Nice. So it depends on the teacher.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Every Sifu teaches they don't teach the art the way the art is. They teach it the way they are. So if you have an aggressive Sifu, they teach it aggressively. You have a chilled Sifu, they teach it more chill. I'm somewhere in between.
In the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. You'll have fun, but then when it's time to work, we're gonna work. Kind of.
100%. That's the way to do it.
I can dig that. I can dig it. Right here, you got the butterfly knives here.
That's right.
What's the correct term?
So in Wing Chun, we actually don't call them butterfly knives. Most people call them butterfly knives because that's what they're called in the other Southern styles. Wing Chun, we're total snobs. We like to tell everyone they're wrong, right? It's like very part and parcel to being a Wing Chun practitioner. So the type of form we use is called PhatSamuraiGuy, which is the 8 slashing knives. But those particular knives, we call them Bao, which means to cover the elbow, because they only go, if you hold it in a reverse grip, they shouldn't go past your elbow.
Right.
Because if they're longer, they're going to be too long to use. So we call them double knives or the elbow cover knives. But butterfly knives, that's like what the other Southern Kung Fu styles call them. So we're like, I don't use butterfly knives. Those are the other guys. All right. And so, but many Wing Chun people call them butterfly knives. But like, you want to get technical,
That's why I said I'll have you any pronunciations, names or whatnot. I will leave that to you because Samurai's known to botch them. I botch them horrible. AJ Mason says I always wanted to train Wing Chun. Looks like fun. There we go. That's right.
It can definitely be fun.
But I don't know if you want to train at Alex's school because when it's brutal, man. Here's a clip from the school here. We have a clip right here. Ripping the dick off, I don't know. It's brutal down there.
How did you get that footage, man? That is private, closed door footage. That's not for open public consumption. That's high level.
Oh man,
you pay a lot of money to learn that, but you only pay that money once.
Damn it! I shouldn't have played it. But yeah, it's really awesome. So it's been over 20 years of you, learning martial arts, and how long have you been teaching it?
So, well, it's been longer that I've been learning. Well, obviously, I started when I was 8.
Okay.
Everyone wants to do this to find out my age. I started Wing Chun at around 15, but next year will be the 20th anniversary of my school, City Wing Chun. And so I've been teaching for basically 20 years, and I was practicing Wing Chun already about 4 years prior to that. And so, yeah, it's been a while. And that student there that I'm teaching, that's Antonio Hart. He's a world famous jazz musician. You can Google
all right.
Antonio Hart. He's like top of the food chain saxophone player in the jazz.
So
he's
anyone's
one of my private students.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if anybody watching right now, where can they find your school on the East Coast?
So I'm in New York City. I'm right in the heart of Manhattan. I'm in Midtown for people who know what that is, very close to Times Square. And you can go to citywt.com. That's our website. We got all that information there. We also have online training, and now I bought a house in Florida. So if people want to train with the Kung Fu Genius privately, you can go to the sun in Florida and brave the coronavirus and train with me.
It's $20,000 an hour, right?
About 45 minutes, not an hour.
Okay,
not quite an hour.
All right. Oh man, well that's really awesome, man. You live in the dream. That is really. But I have to show this now. Once I saw this, I couldn't stop laughing. Where did you get this suit? This is amazing.
I bought that at Amazon. That's one of our students from the Brooklyn location there. Yeah, he's super tall dude. So we recreated that famous photo of Bruce Lee and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, that suit is a problem. I don't mean to draw any attention, but it kind of goes to it like an arrow. First of all, I don't know why anyone would ever want to fight in that suit. And mind you, it's not the original one. I'm hoping the one that Bruce Lee wore was a little more accommodating. But basically, it's got a seam that goes right up the middle. And when you wear that suit as a dude, you have to make a decision, right pant leg or left pant leg, because it's going in one. It's not staying in the middle, all right? And it's the most uncomfortable thing in the world. It's the worst.
Oh, my God. But I was like, yeah, he's doing Game of Death, baby. I love it. I was just like, oh, this is great. This is
pretty
great.
Awesome.
Oh, my
we
God.
We did all, like, the kicks and stuff. And every Halloween, we, like, usually bring those pics out.
I love it. Nice. And so, training and teaching, obviously you've been doing it for a while now, for a long time. What made you want to start podcasting and create a YouTube channel and all that stuff?
So I had a podcast since about 2016 with one of my good friends. His name is Big Sean Madigan. We had a podcast called Dudes of Kung Fu. And I'm the Wing Chun guy. He's the Jeet Kune Do guy, right? So it's like a sitcom, right? Like sometimes the Wing Chun and the Jeet Kune Do guys don't get along with each other, right?
Yeah.
We had a great time, and it was for Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do nerds, it was a very big podcast.
Right.
Big Sean passed away suddenly last December. While I was in Florida, he was a heavy dude. He had health issues.
Yeah.
And he passed away suddenly, and it was like it just broke my heart. I mean, I love Big Sean to death. He was my man.
Yeah.
In that podcast, Dudes of Kung Fu, I couldn't get someone else to be the co-host because the podcast was the two of us.
Right.
Anyone who I would put in his place, and I would pick someone great. I wouldn't pick a schlub, but they
Yeah.
would forever be compared to Big Sean, and that's something that I wouldn't want to put anyone in that seat. So
Right.
I decided to do my own thing. I had talked to Sean about it before he passed, that I wanted to also have my own separate podcast from Dudes.
Yeah.
And he passed away in December, and by March I started the Kung Fu Genius podcast as a YouTube video, but we also have an audio version on Spotify and wherever you listen to audio podcasts, and it's fun. I mean, my channel's not as big as yours, and it's growing.
It's growing quick, my friend.
It's growing. I love
Give
it.
it time. You'll pass me up.
No, I don't. You got way broader appeal. I think people are like, who's this Kung Fu Genius guy talking about Bruce Lee again? You can diversify. I have a small pool of topics I have to regurgitate, right? So, yeah.
But I enjoy you and Dre, man.
Dre's the best, man.
Shout out to Dre. Shout out to Dre, son, on East Coast.
Dre's the man.
Dre, he makes me laugh. You guys make me laugh.
He's so funny. He's so funny.
And I love how you put in the outtakes too sometimes.
Yeah,
for him botching the narration on the monologue, like
he always
put that in there.
It up. It's great. It's guaranteed.
And right here, look at that shot.
Yep. Yeah, Dre's
I'm
been,
digging the hair
for a while, and yeah, he's great. I mean, he's like he plays the voice of the everyman on the podcast because I'm like a veritable trash bin of kung fu trivia and knowledge, and he's like tell me about that guy again, and then so he plays kind of the voice of the everyman to keep me from going too into like Wing Chun geekdom and kung fu geekdom. He keeps me level.
Right. Nice. But yeah, you guys have great chemistry. You're a lot of fun to watch. So chat, make sure it's in the description box below, the link to the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys subscribe and binge. You're going to binge watch everything because this is so entertaining. I especially have been enjoying, let's see, I thought I had a photo of it here. Hold on a second. All right. It is not here. That's fine. Your comparisons or your critiques of movie training sequences, if they're legit or not. So you have Drunken Master, Rocky IV. Those are fun. I enjoy watching those.
Yeah, with Dr. Kenneth J, who's a sport physiologist. First of all, you can't tell from the Zoom, but he looks like Thor in real life.
Shit.
Like he is too big to even be my Iron Man suit. He is like my head goes like up to his chest. I look like a child next to him. And
oh my God.
He in kind of physical fitness and training, he's my mentor in that field, and he's so good at what he trains UFC fighters, and he's like top of the food chain when it comes to that stuff. And so I kind of take a back seat in those episodes and listen to him kind of, to like, is this training legit or not? And we have one more coming out. We did a No Retreat, No Surrender.
Oh, nice.
And so that one will come out maybe in the next few weeks. And
I gotta watch that.
People like it, so I think I'll have him back. So any recommendations you have for movie montages, I'm definitely all ears. I'll definitely do them with them.
Oh yeah, again, I'm enjoying those. So keep doing those if you can, because there's tons of training sequences out there, martial arts movies and action films.
Definitely.
Hold on a second here. Shout out to Jihad again. He says thank you, sir, for showcasing my Qigong. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
All right.
Close enough.
All right, I'm trying. Thank you, sir, for supporting the channel. Oh, are you already getting subs, man? Look at that. Already getting subs. That's what I'm talking about.
For subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
The Movie Dojo Army knows what's up. They know what's up.
You got a great fan base. They're great guy. I love reading the comments to all your live streams. Like when we do verses and like I don't feel like it's my wheelhouse, I'll watch them. And I love like the comments back and forth. You got a great bunch of followers there. Really cool.
The only funny thing, the difficult thing is when every verses that you're on with us, I'm looking at what you're writing in the comments. I'm trying to listen to what Rick is saying. I'm just looking. I'm just like. So if you randomly see me laughing, most likely it's I'm looking at something you put in there, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to comment while the episode's going on.
And also, congratulations getting on the cover. Look at this guy.
Yeah, that was a few years back. I write for that magazine regularly. I write for Wing Chun Illustrated. My column is called The Kung Fu Genius.
Right.
And yeah, so I made it on the cover. We shot that down in Brooklyn, and Christy shot that. She's my social media gal. She handles all my public social media. So I got a good team that makes me look a lot better than I am. It's all smoke and mirrors.
But hey, it's pretty cool, man.
Thank you.
But here we go. Oh, there was another story. I don't know if you've heard this one, but again, it sounds similar to a martial arts movie. But I actually ran into him twice. A very great guy, very nice guy, Benny the Jet Urquidez. And everybody knows that guy's legit.
Yes.
That guy's legit. I don't think he's lost a fight, competing
Yes.
professionally. And there was an interview, and he said he was young around the time this was going on. He said he was actually
Yes.
in the audience.
Yes, I've heard that story. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He's in LA at that time. That's where Benny grew up, and Benny was a young karate practitioner. And yeah, he told the story multiple times. I mean,
So
definitely.
you heard it then, how he wanted to train and spar with
Yeah.
Bruce at some point,
Yeah.
and they told him he wasn't good enough.
Right.
Some people said he wasn't good enough yet. And then he went off to it was like a movie. He went off to some tournament and beat all these dudes, and they came
Yes.
back, and he felt he was ready, and then Bruce passed away, and he
Yeah.
felt like he was cheapened, a chance to train or spar
Yeah.
with Bruce.
Benny
But I mean,
is a
again,
total-
if he's not legit, you got one of the most legit martial artists out there
Absolutely.
saying that story, telling people that story. You know, what I mean?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So I'm seeing these kicks here that you're doing here.
Yes.
Are do you call these oblique kicks? What do you call these kicks here?
No, we call it a good old side kick to the knee. I
Okay.
think it's Joe Rogan who decided to call it an oblique kick, and it's like,
Okay.
bro, it's a side kick to the knee. Martial artists been doing it. I mean, obviously we have it in Wing Chun. The kicks in Wing Chun are on the low line. We generally don't kick very high.
Okay.
And obviously when Bruce created his Jeet Kune Do, he modified some of those Wing Chun kicks to do them from the side on stance. And that lead leg side kick to the knee is like right out of the Wing Chun playbook right there. And I don't know if you saw last Saturday's UFC with Khalil Roundtree.
I was going to bring that up to you. So I have a shot of it right here. Right here. Well, hold on. This is
Oh, that's
John Jones using
Yeah.
it. So John Jones was like one of the first ones in UFC to
Yes.
start using this type of
Yes.
kick.
Yes.
And it was a controversial kick. But
Yes.
yeah, Roundtree did it.
Oh.
And dude, that guy went down and he was done.
Yeah. Fight over.
Like
right?
just one kick. Boom. That was it. It's over.
Yes.
It was crazy. And I think he got performance of the night bonus.
Yeah.
Very humble guy, Roundtree, and the guy he
Yes.
fought was very humble too. He actually went to go check on him after the event,
Right,
see how he
right.
was doing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Great guys, both real badasses. But
Yeah.
now there's talk. I don't think anything is going to come of it.
I don't think
But
so.
now there's talk going around. Is this too dangerous for MMA? Are they going to start banning these type of kicks?
Right.
Obviously, no, they're
Right.
not.
I don't think so.
But what do you think? What's your
Well, I mean, you see that
Comment on it.
here's where these kind of tactics, which are very effective for personal protection. I mean, look, if someone attacks you, you need to do what you need to do to survive. And if kicking someone right in the knee is the thing to do, then you need to do it, especially if you have a bigger, stronger opponent. Whether this has a place in sportive combative fighting, well, that's a different question. But you start to see, like, look, that's straight out of the Bruce Lee playbook. Clearly, he had no idea what he was talking about. When the main thing that he advocated, now MMA people are like, well, maybe we shouldn't do that thing, right?
Yeah.
You mean that thing he was showing back in the 50s and 60s?
Yeah.
Technically, I believe, I could be wrong, you're not allowed to strike directly against the joints in mixed martial arts. That's one of the rules.
Okay.
But it's a bit of a gray area when you're striking the side of the joint, like when someone is side on and you're kicking the knee from the side as opposed to directly straight onto the knee frontally, right?
Okay,
And
so let's see how
and then
John.
there's-
So is John Jones doing it right or wrong here?
Yeah, well, he's doing both the lead leg side kick, and even when he kicks with his rear foot and does that front kick with his foot turned out,
Yeah.
that's one of our standard ways of kicking in Wing Chun, and I have to say he's doing it pretty damn good.
Okay.
Oftentimes, because we don't use kind of a kickboxing frame in Wing Chun, we're already much closer. So that kick we normally do when we're a little bit closer, so it's not done from a bouncy stance. But
Right.
he has modified it to that kind. Now I'm not saying he got it from a Wing Chun guy, but
Right. Similar.
people come up with the same things the world over. Different cultures invented the wheel, different cultures invented wrestling. So
Right.
there's certain things that people just come up when you've been doing this long enough, and it's a very effective and very dangerous kick when it's applied. I don't think they're going to change anything in
No.
MMA for it.
I mean, they gave him a bonus for it.
They gave him a bonus for it. Good job, basically, potentially crippling that guy for life with a sidekick.
And if you rewind a little bit, you had the two really dangerous low kick, incidents where the other guy checked it perfectly, and the other dude's legs were just done. I think it was Chris Weidman and who else? It was another guy.
Well, so Anderson Silva broke his leg on Chris
Right.
Weidman. Chris Weidman broke his leg on Uriah Hall, and Conor McGregor broke his leg. Getting his leg checked. So, I mean, then are we going to?
But none of them was checked.
Yeah, but I mean, like, can you imagine having
Conor's
a broken
crazy.
leg being on the ground and talking trash to someone? I mean, what? You have to be. I mean, we could say whether what he said was appropriate or not, and like I think he definitely lost a lot of fans there.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it reminds me of Monty Python. The dude's got all of his limbs cut. It's just a flesh wound, right? And you're there, literally missing limbs, and you're still talking trash to the other guy. I don't know.
The Black Knight.
Yeah, the Black Knight. There's
Come back here. I'll bite your freaking face off.
Yeah, but come on, come back over here, right? What is he gonna do? Hop on one leg? I mean, it's just crazy. You couldn't.
Oh man!
If you wrote that in a script, no one would believe it, right? It's like the truth is stranger than fiction, right?
Oh, proper 12. That's it.
Yeah, make sure you get the plug in while your legs are on the ground, right? Absolutely.
Oh my god! But yeah, I've seen many photos of the Wing Chun style of kick, and it just immediately reminded me of what happened over the weekend. Yes. And I wanted to bring that up to you. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty interesting. In the Way of the Dragon fight, is that the type of kick he did on Chuck? In the fight
so you'll see there's one long sequence there where he kind of like does the one kick, and then he uses that rear leg kick just like John Jones did. And that is basically applying Wing Chun kicks using what people don't realize, Bruce Lee moved around like Muhammad Ali, especially in that movie, but Bruce's long distance footwork was way more influenced by fencing than it was from boxing.
Right.
So he basically used a fencing frame to apply Wing Chun, and he did other kicks as well, the roundhouse kick and stuff like that. But you're basically seeing, Bruce doing those kind of tactics. And let's not forget how Bruce won that fight against Chuck. He won it by guillotine. I mean, like, it was a neck breaker in that movie, but I mean, Bruce did a double leg takedown in Way of the Dragon.
Yeah.
He did a guillotine. And when people talk shit about Bruce's armbar against Sammo Hung in Enter the Dragon, there wasn't real armbar. It wasn't. It was a neck crank. If you watch it, he was actually cranking Sammo Hung's head. It wasn't an armbar. So, so if you look at what he was doing 48, 49 years ago, double leg takedowns, guillotines, neck cranks in Chinese movies, and they're like, this guy really didn't have any idea what he was doing. All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Hindsight, Mr. 2020, I mean, like, hindsight bias is real, right? So people can look at that stuff now, and maybe he was way ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah. But philosophy, too. That was a no-no back then. Wait, you want to learn different styles and put that together? Oh, no, sir. Nay.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
We just recorded an episode. It'll come out in about 2 weeks. Bruce Lee did a radio interview with Ted Thomas in 1972, and you just hear how he just doesn't believe in styles, and how he believes like the man needs to express themselves like rather than be bound to a style.
I remember
that
interview.
One of my favorite Bruce Lee isms, which is you cannot have an effective segment of a totality, right? Meaning like people who are so stuck into their styles, they don't see the
Right.
forest for the trees or whatever. And I mean, he's saying stuff like this 50 years ago, right?
I know, it's
and
crazy.
People today, they're not on that level.
No, when he says like, I don't believe in this way of fighting or this way of fighting. What do you say?
Yeah.
Until we grow 3 arms and 3 legs,
yeah.
we will have
Exactly.
a different way of fighting.
Absolutely.
Oh man,
Yeah.
He's legend, man. He's legend.
100%.
But I'm gonna bring it up. I got to bring it up because I got you here. The Quentin Tarantino interview. I got to bring it up. Now here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino's movies. I
Sure.
like his movies.
Sure.
I enjoy his movies, and I probably still watch his movies if he makes more movies. But I enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I enjoyed the movie.
Yes.
But I thought that Bruce Lee sequence in this fake Hollywood world, I get it, it's not supposed to be real. I thought that scene was very strange. Obviously, it was in there for comedic purposes.
Yeah.
But I thought that scene with fake Bruce was strange because the movie goes out of its way to literally take shots at the fake Bruce Lee in the movie. And I thought that was very odd.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then hearing the Joe Rogan interview, none of what he said made any sense. I wanted him to just be honest. Like, I don't like Bruce Lee. I think he's a hack.
Yeah.
I would respect Quentin more if he just came out and said, I always thought he was bullshit. I never liked the guy. He was a hack. Da-da-da-da-da. I would respect him more if he just did it that way. Like, okay, that's his opinion. That's fine. But he was constantly dancing around, being honest. Just be honest, man.
Yes.
And people forget. And it confused me because there were literal odes to Bruce Lee in Kill Bill.
Yeah.
There were several moments in Kill Bill that were clearly odes to Bruce. So if you
100%.
hate the guy, if you think the guy's a hack, if you think he treated the stuntmen like shit, what are we doing here? Right. That's what frustrated me more. Just be honest. You don't like Bruce Lee. Fine. Yeah. Be honest. Stop dancing around.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And he goes, well, I put it in my movie because it was in the book. Well, you wrote the book.
Yeah.
You wrote the book. Now, have you heard from your side of the sect, meeting all Bruce Lee's students and all that stuff and being behind the scenes, did anything Quentin say have merit? Did Bruce Lee on purpose injure stuntmen?
No, this is absolute nonsense. And I totally agree with you in that, like, Quentin Tarantino clearly just doesn't like Bruce Lee. And
just be honest.
He should just say that, right? And but instead he decides to kind of clown Bruce Lee in his movie. And I think I don't think he realized how much that would piss off people. I think he thought some people might get upset, but I don't think he realized that he would have to constantly defend that portrayal as much as he would have to, right? And you see, like you said, he seems to just have to double down and try to, like, go really deep into his pockets to find some shred of something to justify this pretty horrific and ridiculous portrayal. If he just said, it's like, look, Bruce is, like, overrated, everyone thinks he's the greatest, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it would be funny to make him look like an ass clown in my movie. You'd be like, all right, okay.
Yeah, that's your opinion. Yeah.
But it's like, but then it's like, that's your world, that's your Hollywood world. You make him look like an idiot, and then we buy it because that's what you wanted to do. But now he's, like, concocting stories by saying, well, it's so-and-so's book, they said this and that, and it's like, no. None of these things, according to any of the eyewitness accounts we have, I've read, you can look at my bookshelf here. I have every book written about Bruce Lee ever, including books written in Chinese that never came out in English. Okay. So, like, don't talk to me about what Bruce Lee did or didn't do.
Yeah.
This, first of all, for him to say Bruce Lee didn't like American stuntmen is insulting because Bruce Lee was American. He literally was American. All right. So it's like, dude, stop. Okay. And I'm just gonna say one thing. I said this on the Kung Fu Genius podcast. Okay. I don't like to drop names because I just feel it's not. So I'm not gonna say who said this, but I have a good friend. Okay. Who knows Quentin Tarantino personally.
Okay.
And Quentin Tarantino told my friend that he doesn't really, and this was, by the way, years before all, because I was told this 6 years ago, okay, like before all this stuff came out,
Okay.
that Quentin doesn't like Bruce Lee. He
Yeah.
prefers
Okay.
Bruce Lee, the L.E. Bruce Lee, one of those fake Bruce Lees, not even Bruce L.I., Bruce L.E., who is like the 4-stripe Adidas of Bruce Lee imitators, all right? Like, come on.
So he prefers one of the Bruceploitation guys.
Over actual Bruce Lee, okay? But you know, like
Whoa.
with these Hollywood types, you sometimes feel they just say these things to be controversial because they're Hollywood types. Like everyone thinks Bruce Lee's actually he wasn't good. The real one that was good was Bruce Lee, and you know, I don't often agree with Bruce Lee's daughter Shannon because I that's a separate issue. I don't like how she's handled the estate of her father. And her kind of interpersonal relationship with her family in Hong Kong. I don't find that a very strong showing for respecting her father. But like, damn it, Quentin Tarantino is making me agree with Shannon Lee, and because what she said is true. I mean, I'm not like the most if you want to take pot shots at Bruce Lee. Take pot shots at Bruce Lee. You don't have to say it's racist. You don't have to say this if you want to take pot shots. But I just found it a little cheap. And in this day and age, to take like the one, you know, maybe now things are different with Shang-Chi, but you know, with Simu Liu, you know, it's like, but like to take the one Chinese guy who made it in Hollywood, who's a symbol for so many people, and just shit on him because you think he's funny, and then double down and say he was an asshole. I don't find it a good look. And so I just think like he could have done it differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he could have done it different.
And I love that movie, except for that part. You know, it's like
I have the movie back here. I got it on 4K because I enjoy the movie.
If you took that movie out took that scene out and just because he's just trying to establish Brad Pitt's character as being a badass.
Right.
You could have done that a number of other ways with a number of other Hollywood stars at that time, and the movie would have worked exactly the same. And so it just felt a little cheap. But
I mean, those were real shots. Like the movie made like. You haven't fought and killed anybody. You have no idea what you're talking about. Like that was real shot at a fake Bruce Lee world.
Yeah,
according to him, that was a real shot.
Yeah.
Put it this way. Rick Myers said it best.
Ali. Yeah.
Right. Rick Myers said it best. You know, we love us some Kung Fu Santa. He said it best. Now we can enjoy the movie, and we do. We like the movie. We just said we like the film, except for that scene. But Rick Myers made a point. He says, even if this is a fake world, right? A fake Hollywood, this is not supposed to be really Bruce. Think about this, though. In this fake world, Charles Manson, was more respected in the movie than Bruce Lee. And if you think about it, it's kind of true, actually. Yeah. You know, Charles Manson was not looked upon in the movie as someone horrible. Right. But Bruce Lee was the asshole. Think about that, chat.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay, so I had to bring that up with you.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
But just I would disagree with Quentin, but I would respect him more if he's like, you know what? I am so happy. This was my goal, was to piss off people, and I was going to be the ultimate troll, and to piss off the Bruce Lee fans, and I'm laughing about it. I would respect him more for that than he's getting all defensive.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
You know, it's like, come on, Quentin. Oh my goodness, but it's true. Rick Myers said it perfectly.
Absolutely.
Oh, and hold on a second. Marco G says he was close with the stuntmen.
Yeah,
he says definitely. Bruce Lee was.
Yep. Even in Hong Kong, I've talked to a number of people who were like. I talked to one stuntman a couple years ago who was on the set of Enter the Dragon, and he said, when they called cut, Bruce would just sit and hang out with the stuntmen. They loved him. He would make sure that, you know, if he got better food than them, he would eat the same food the stuntmen ate. And the stuntmen actually absolutely loved him. And this was coming from a stuntman who was on the set of Enter the Dragon. And that is a story I've heard again and again and again in all my travels to Hong Kong. So it just seems extremely out of character.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
here's some other ones. True or false? Give me some true or false here. True or false? Bruce Lee got challenged on the set of The Big Boss and took care of business, and the stuntmen respected him after that. Is that true?
That's inconclusive. We don't know. There are lots of stories back and forth, but what happened on the set of Big Boss, there's also a story that there was a Thai boxer who challenged him. There's a few different stories.
Right.
It's inconclusive.
Okay.
We don't know. Yeah.
So it wasn't Lam Ching Ying. It wasn't him that kind of tested Bruce?
I mean, Lam Ching Ying loved Bruce Lee. At first, he was a bit hesitant because basically Bruce came in and replaced the original star, who was James Tien, who kind of ended up playing second fiddle.
Poor James.
Yeah, and James Tien's career never recovered after that, right? So I think some of the stuntmen felt like, oh, who's this guy Bruce coming in? But Lam Ching Ying later became one of the biggest supporters of Bruce Lee, and he loved Bruce Lee, and Bruce put him in many films. And when another actor challenged Bruce Lee in the newspaper, Lao Dai-chun, Lam Ching Ying went up to that guy, and Lam Ching Ying's not a real fighter. He's a stuntman. But he was so offended that this guy challenged Bruce that he said to him in Cantonese, "You are not effing qualified to challenge my Sifu," because he called Bruce Sifu. "You would have to fight me first if you want to fight him in a restaurant." And Lam Ching Ying was a chill dude, but he was a ride or die guy for Bruce Lee after that. I'll tell you.
So he was straight up like prodigal son, man. He was just doing. Oh man! Wow. But Lam Ching Ying, he's still a badass though. He's a stuntman. Like he's not a snowflake. He's a badass.
No, he was a real badass. Everyone loved him. He was a fantastic actor. When he passed away in the mid-90s, I cried. That was a tough day for me when he passed, man.
Yeah, he's a legend. Marco G says, Alex, have you learned more about the infamous drug letters that were released since your podcast?
I've learned a lot since, for people who don't know, recently, a couple months ago, an auction house revealed about 50 letters that were written from Bruce Lee to his student, Bob Baker. Most of them, not all of them, were written in the last 2 years of Bruce Lee's life. And we found out that Bruce had a pretty sizable cocaine habit, among other things.
This is legit, because I didn't get a chance to watch your videos yet.
Yeah, it's legit, and it was something. Look, the top Bruce Lee biographers, Matt Pauly, John Little, these are my friends. I know these people. Yeah. These were the guys who have written books about Bruce Lee. No one knew about it. This was a bombshell for everyone, even people who are really close. Everyone knew that he had use some other more recreational style drugs, but no one knew about the cocaine.
I heard that, but I didn't hear about cocaine. Oh my God.
But it seems he had a pretty major habit. You can watch the video. I actually read the letters in there. Like in one letter, he ordered $500 worth of cocaine in 1973. I don't even want to know how much that was. And so this could be a contributing factor to his death.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it definitely explains his weight loss in the last 2 years.
How come nobody else is talking about this?
Some people have talked about it since I came out. By the way, I'm the Kung Fu genius. I'm not the drug genius. But since that is, by the way, the #1 viewed video on my Kung Fu Genius channel.
Well, yeah, I have to watch it.
Why I got this big bump. And since that came out, what I have learned about my audience and their knowledge of drugs is quite amazing. Like, so people in the comments are like teaching me all sorts of things. And Bruce died of cerebral edema, and cerebral edema is something that can be because of cocaine use and abuse, regardless of amount. It definitely changes what we know. And people keep saying they didn't find cocaine in the autopsy. Hey, the Kung Fu genius has read Bruce Lee's autopsy. Okay, like I actually have a copy of the autopsy, not a transcript. I have read. I have it. Okay,
and, is it in there?
What they tested for in the toxicology report, they don't actually say, and it's intentionally very vague. So there's actually no evidence that they tested for cocaine at the time of his death. So who knows, man? It's still. I've learned a lot of things about drugs. I wish I learned more things about Kung Fu. I've learned more about drugs than anything else.
Right. Do you think him going from recreational to a little bit more of the hardcore stuff was due to his work schedule? and he was just doing too much training, writing, producing, directing, all like it was just nonstop. I heard with this guy.
Yeah, he was definitely burning the candle at both ends. I mean, cocaine or no cocaine, it'd be interesting to see how long Bruce could have kept that pace up, because I think that would kill most regular humans. The amount of work that he was doing and what he was doing and the stress he was putting his body under.
Right.
But in the letters, he talks about like he wanted more cocaine because he felt that it helped him with the creative process for writing stuff.
Oh.
So he wasn't doing it, as some of my commenters, like, because of the pain in his lower back. You don't take cocaine because you have pain in your lower back.
Right.
He was definitely taking it for the creative process. We know from stories at the time, at the end of the last few months, he was paranoid. He pulled a knife on director Lo Wei. He was like increasingly becoming more violent.
Is that why he blacked out on the set of Enter the Dragon?
It wasn't on the set. It was during a dubbing session. That was on May 10th, 1973.
Okay.
He basically had a seizure and was convulsing, which, by the way, is a symptom of overdosing on cocaine. But he did not tell the doctors he was telling cocaine, so they did not look for it, in my opinion. And he seemed to keep this away from his doctors, but from the letters, he had a pretty sizable cocaine habit. And so, and he had a cerebral edema, brain swelling on May 10th. The only difference is he got to the hospital in time. They gave him an injection of mannitol. The swelling went down. On the day he died, he had the same exact symptoms that he had on May 10th on July 20th. The only difference is they didn't get him to the hospital in time. His brain expanded from 1,400 grams, which is the normal weight, to 1,175 grams, like that much, which is like about a half a pound.
Oh, my goodness.
He didn't get to the hospital in time and he died. But whatever he died of, the cause of it, it was identical to the event on May 10th. He had it twice. The second time he didn't get to the hospital in time.
Right. Okay. Wow. Woof.
Yeah.
Man, no wonder I got to watch the rest of your whole video on your channel. I'm sure chat's going to bookmark your video right now and watch it later. Holy crap. Well, that's unfortunate that if that's what really did lead to his death. But
absolutely,
we still can't take away the legacy and the inspiration and what he's, inspired basically everyone pretty much.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stella here. What's going on, Stella? Jackie Chan, in one of his interviews, said that Bruce Lee, when he hit him by accident in his eyes with the stick, he felt very bad and kept asking him how he's feeling for about a week.
Yeah. That was a story on Enter the Dragon, right? He hit him accidentally with the stick, and then after they called cut, he was like, "Oh, you okay, or whatever." So to think that guy would openly hurt stuntmen during Green Hornet or whatever other thing he was doing in the States, it's incongruent to what we actually know about Bruce Lee.
Oh man, I came across, I'm trying to backtrack and catch up to your videos, but I came across a segment when you were talking about David Carradine. Oh man, and how you met him, and you were like, you were kind of annoyed about what he said, but then in context it kind of made sense later. But the whole Kung Fu TV show thing, it's funny because I've been watching a lot of post-apocalyptic movies with another YouTuber. Shout out to Mr. Tony of the Dead, and we'll review post-apocalyptic movies. Well, David Carradine, towards the end of his career, starred in a lot of post-apocalyptic movies. You got to eat, right? And it's funny because Tony has never seen Kung Fu. He's never the show. He doesn't know anything about it. He hasn't seen Kill Bill movies. His introduction is David Carradine in these horrible fight scenes in these post-apocalyptic movies, and every time we do one, he's like, and we review it, and he's like, dude, why do people like this guy? Like, he's just like, this guy's like horrible. And I was trying, I pulled the Kung Fu Genius in a way, and I had to explain to him it's because the show Kung Fu was really what got him over, and no one's seen anything like that here in the West.
Sure.
My oldest sister Tracy was a huge fan of it, and then she pulled a U and graduated from that to Bruce, and introduced me into more martial arts movies and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's just funny because he's just like, what? And he's like, I don't understand. I was like, it's
crazy.
I can't explain it, man. The best I could do is that you had to have been there for the whole Kung Fu show and the popularity of it and all that.
Yeah,
Have you heard any stories of the beef? This was real beef, on-set beef between him and Chuck Norris and Lone Wolf McQuade. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, so there was some stuff going back and forth between the two of them. I mean, Chuck obviously is a real martial artist, and David
He would
Carradine
have killed him.
was David Carradine, right? And you know, we did talk a little bit of trash about Chuck Norris earlier in this episode, but I'm gonna say one good thing that came out of that Lone Wolf McQuade.
Okay.
Somebody asked Chuck about David Carradine, and Chuck, in one of the few moments of true self-reflection and irony, said this. He said, David Carradine is as good of a martial artist as I am an actor. And so, you know, for all the trash talking about David Carradine, for him to say that, hey, respect.
We gotta bow to the Chuck. Don't fuck with the Chuck.
Bow to
That's
the
awesome.
Chuck, yes.
That's awesome. Oh man, that's
do you
pretty
know,
funny.
By the way, do you know how many push-ups Chuck Norris can do?
I'm sure an insane amount. How much?
All of them.
Nice. I swear, the Chuck Norris fax is like the greatest thing ever.
Yes.
It's the greatest thing ever.
Absolutely.
Oh man, but yeah, I had to ask you about that. So, just for fun, before we get to the bottom here, we got some fun photos we can talk about a little bit here. So,
sure.
We got the crew here. Oh shit, got Kung Fu Santa, the Venom legend Liu Fang, and our boy Bobby Samuels.
That's what's up.
What year was this? When was this?
So this had to be, I would say, 2017, 2018, and Bobby came up. They actually shot something with Liu Fang at my school, and which was amazing to have one of the Venoms in my kung fu school. I'm just like, oh my god, right? And he spoke. You know, I speak very basic Cantonese, so I was able to speak some Chinese with him, and then just like. It was so cool. Like, I mean, it was just and I got a chance to take some photos with him, and I was just like a kid in a candy store. It was absolutely amazing.
I actually had the honor of meeting Liu Fang down over here at Dragon Fest. It was like a small martial arts convention, and he was there, and he was like the most nicest, humblest dude. I got my photo with him. Very nice guy, and what was so amazing was that there was a line. Obviously, there was people there, like including myself, that wanted to meet him and get an autograph and a photo. What was amazing about the guy was he kind of seemed like kind of surprised that he had fans.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like, dude, you're one of the Venoms, man. Shaw Brothers, the legacy, the Venoms crew, man. Like Masked Avengers, Crippled Avengers. I mean, oh man, it's just
those are iconic, and those films they didn't all do really great over there in Asia. They became really big over here, so a lot of them don't really understand their cult following. Even my teacher, Sifu Leung Ting, he was actually one of the fight choreographers for 5 Venoms. His name comes up as when you see Venoms, you'll see Liang Ting, which is the Mandarin version of his name. He was he came up with the director Chang Che with the centipede style, and they literally over dim sum created the 5 Venoms because those are fictitious kung fu styles. That was my teacher, right? He was a Wing Chun guy, but he had like this great imagination. And then I said, I was talking to my teacher many, many years ago about that, and I said, you know, the Venoms movies, they're like iconic over here. The Wu-Tang Clan has used all of that stuff in their rap songs. And he looked at me and he goes, what the hell is a Wu-Tang Clan? And it's just like they have no idea. They have no idea how big that stuff is over here.
Yeah, even the great Lo Lee, that guy's legend. I'm saying the name right? Am I saying it right? Lo Lee.
Yeah. So it should be. So in Cantonese it would be Law Lei. I think it's Law Lei, but I haven't looked at the characters in a while. But normally Lo is law in Cantonese.
Okay.
And so he's actually I think he's an Indonesian Chinese who grew up in Hong Kong, and so but he was amazing and played such a great villain, and then he was even in Super Cop as a villain. He's fantastic. Pai Mei, the original Pai Mei, right?
Yeah. But there was an interview with him, and he was surprised Quentin Tarantino was a fan of him. He was just like me.
Yeah.
It's like it's amazing. But I love this shot right here. That's
Yep,
pretty.
that's
That's
at
pretty
my
dope.
school there. And yeah, I mean, what a dream come true to like. I watched these guys when I was a kid on Black Belt Theater on Saturdays, and then like to just talk to them about
Yeah,
movies and stuff. It's like,
I
oh
know.
man, this is crazy.
And of course, come on, let's keep the Venoms crew going here.
The
You got Lo
Toad, the
Mein.
Toad, yes. So yeah, I mean Lo Meng, I mean he still acts, right? Unlike Lu Feng, Lo Meng is still, he's like in the Yip Man movies, and he was in the
Yeah.
Grandmaster, and you still see him from time to time. He's on TVB, and I mean he's the Toad. He's like all jacked and
Oh yeah.
and I'm actually, so I met Lu Feng when he came to New York, but Lo Mong, who you just showed there, like I'm actually friends with him. Like I chat with him,
Nice.
regularly, and like just to like talk to him. It's amazing. And
You're like fanboying out the whole time.
yeah, and also because he was in the Yip Man movies, and like I'm a Wing Chun guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And, he's not a huge fan of Wing Chun people. He's got some stuff in his history. Sometimes him and Wing Chun peeps have gone at it a little bit. But he seems to like me, and I also tell him it's okay. I also don't like most Wing Chun people anyway. Maybe that's why he likes me. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Got this shot here. Now, is that the Black Dragon up back there?
Yeah,
Ron
there's
Van
a lot
Cleef?
of cool people in there.
Oh, there's Vincent.
Yeah, you have Vincent Lin there.
Yeah.
Who you also had on your channel. Vincent Lin is actually the godfather to my youngest daughter.
Oh, nice.
Obviously, yeah, Rick Myers, his book is one of the reasons why I just got into Kung Fu films. And obviously you have Ron Van Cleef there, the Black Dragon. Ron Van Cleef's a good friend of mine. We've been friends for a very long time.
Oh,
he learned
nice.
Wing Chun from my teacher in the early 70s, so we're basically Kung Fu brothers as well.
Love
and
it.
then, I don't know, the dude raising his hand on the side, that's Kung Fu Bob. I don't know.
Oh,
if you know who
okay,
Kung Fu Bob
yeah.
is. He's the guy who does all that amazing artwork now for like 88 films and those covers
Yeah,
and stuff for the DVDs.
he's
That's
amazing.
him. Angela Mao obviously is in that photo. She is the played Bruce's sister in Enter the Dragon, Su Lin. Yeah, there she is. And you know who that other guy is there? That's Jihan Jay. That's the guy who fought Bruce in Game of Death. He's the second guy with the gold belt.
Shit.
Yeah,
The Hapkido
that's
guy?
the Hapkido guy in the second level. there.
Oh, how cool
So
is
there
that?
I am
And
with like a guy who fought Bruce Lee, and then the woman who played Bruce Lee's sister in Enter the Dragon, and he's Korean, she's Chinese, and I had to do some Chinese translation for them. And there I am sitting, like there's Angela Mao, and there's like Jian Jie who fought Bruce Lee, and I'm like doing Cantonese translation, and there was just a moment where I almost became lightheaded, like this is the result of not getting a real job and never growing up and being able to indulge what I love and somehow make a living of it. And it's like the combination of it right there.
oh,
That's peak Kung Fu genius moment.
that's awesome. And I'm a huge fan of the Warrior TV show. I enjoy it.
Yeah,
a
the Warrior
lot.
TV show. There's Warrington Hudlin.
That Demetrius right there?
That's Demetrius right there. Demetrius, man, shout out to him. He's one of the hardest working guys in the industry. He puts together that urban action showcase every year. And, I respect anyone who just hustles, especially in a city like New York.
Yeah.
Demetrius, absolutely fantastic. Hector Martinez was in there too. He's a Bruce Lee collector. And he's the guy who's right next to me. He's
Okay.
the guy who does the voice at the beginning of the Kung Fu Genius where he goes, he's unstoppable, unbeatable. That's that guy
Nice.
right there. And
All right.
it's actually a pitch perfect imitation. If you watch the original Chinese Connection trailer in English from the 70s, the guy he's unstoppable. He's talking about Bruce Lee. It's pitch perfect.
Oh.
The way he did it.
I
for me
gotta
for the
go
Kung Fu
back and
Genius.
hear it again. Nice. Yeah, shout out to Demetrius. He actually kind of helped us in a way getting the Kung Fu extravaganza we had this year on the channel.
Awesome.
Demetrius
He's great,
helped
man.
us out with that.
He's a great
Maybe I can
dude.
get him on the
Helped me
channel
out a lot.
and get him on the show in the future. We'll see.
You should, man.
He's
You
so
should,
busy
yeah.
though. That guy's so busy, man.
Demetrius got me into that Warrior screening for HBO. Like it's because of him, and he didn't have to do it. He did it out of the kindness of his heart. Super sweet guy.
I love that
yeah,
show,
yeah,
man. I
absolutely.
love that show. The show's so good. Who we got here?
So Mad Monkey Kung Fu.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the guy there in the kind of light red V-neck there.
I'm not
That's,
going to pronounce his name.
Yeah, so in Cantonese it's Xiao Hao. It normally written like Xiao Ho in the kind of Shaw Brothers world.
Yeah.
So he was the main guy in Mad Monkey Kung Fu, but he's in all of those Lao Ka Leung movies. He's obviously
Oh, yeah.
18 Weapons of China. He's, the guy who doesn't have to rip his eyes out, and he gets to live for the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
And,
My Young Auntie, and he's in everything. That guy's great.
And he basically still lives very close to the old Shaw Studios. And the guy who's next to me on the other side, I believe his name is Chung Wing Han, and he was the stuntman on the set of Enter the Dragon, who told me how great Bruce was to all the stuntmen. And I have photos of him next to Bruce Lee. He was one of the guys who wore the yellow on Enter the Dragon. Yeah. And so when I met Siu Hao to meet him for dim sum, he was like, "Oh, I have a friend of mine. He's going to meet with us. I hope you don't mind. He was a stuntman on Enter the Dragon. Is it okay if he meets us for lunch today?" And it was just like, are you kidding me? Right. And again, another moment where I have to pinch myself. Like I'm having dim sum with people from these Shaw films. It's like, it's weird. I don't know why I get to do what I do, but I feel very blessed every day. I have a super supportive wife. I teach Kung Fu for a living, and I get to talk about Bruce Lee and drugs on YouTube. I mean, it's...
That's it. You're renaming your channel now, Bruce Lee and Drugs.
Yeah, that's why most people know me now,
But this one, I would probably lose it if I met this guy.
Yes.
I would fanboy out like, I mean, this Shoji here, man, Karada, man. Like, I would...
Yes.
This dude is badass right now.
He's still badass.
He's still badass.
If you see that photo, like, later when you have a chance to look at it and you look at his top two knuckles.
Oh, okay. I can see it. Yeah. Oh.
The guy is, and so I happened to be in Hong Kong, and someone told me, oh, Yasuaki Karada has a school in Hong Kong, and he's going to be teaching a seminar. Do you want to go? And I was like, so I'm a Wing Chun guy. I don't know anything about his style of karate, but hell yes, I'm going to go to a karate seminar with Yasuaki Karada, right?
Yeah.
And so I went there, and like, it was a 2-hour seminar. He showed us like a bunch of cool techniques. There were no more than 10 people who came. It was like quick. If I brought him to New York and said I would teach a seminar, we'd have a packed house.
Oh, yeah.
He teaches in Hong Kong, and the crazy thing is he speaks Cantonese with a Japanese accent. And he speaks English. I never heard anyone speak Cantonese with a Japanese accent.
Wow.
It was so amazing. And so I didn't mention this before, but Bruce Lee made me fall in love with Bruce Lee, and I wanted to learn Chinese martial arts.
Right.
But the first Kung Fu movie I saw outside of Bruce Lee stuff was Heroes of the East with Gordon Liu, where you have the whole Chinese, crab style, right? And you have the whole Chinese versus Japanese, which is like, that movie is a kung fu porn from top to bottom. It's like the plot is a thin excuse to just showcase the next fight, and it's beautiful. It's one of the few Lao movies which doesn't have a death in it, and it's all about martial arts. And he is the main villain, showcasing ninjutsu versus like the Chinese kind of magic martial arts style.
Did he always? It seemed like in his movies he always had a very low stance.
But I mean, I think that's just why they wanted him to do that. From what I can tell, that's not necessarily a part of the style of his karate, but sometimes people get typecast with the way they do martial arts in those films. And he, like, when I saw that movie, I was like, and I thought, even though I was a Chinese Kung Fu fan, I thought he was amazing since I was a kid. And then he's in Fist of Legend, where he has that blindfolded fight scene with Jet Li. Yeah. And then when I met him that day, it was weird. I almost had to choke back tears, because from my childhood, if Bruce Lee made me fall in love with Bruce Lee, Heroes of the East made me fall in love with Chinese Kung Fu. Yeah. And that he was part of that. Like, that movie is so like etched into my childhood. I cannot imagine my life having not seen Heroes of the East. And when I met him, like, I did the seminar, and afterwards, in Chinese martial arts, we have banners for our school, like a flag, and you give it to someone in the martial arts that you respect, and they put your banner in their school, and they could give you their banner, and you put it in your school, right? So you exchange banners, right? Yeah. It's like before social media, you exchange banners. That's how you liked each other's stuff. I came up to him and I said to him, like, I fell in love with Kung Fu because of Heroes of the East, and your film is probably one of the reasons why I teach Chinese martial arts, because I fell in love with Kung Fu as a result. And you're a huge part of why I do what I do. And it's an honor to like meet you. And he just looked at me and he was like, oh, thank you. Like, oh, that means so much to me. Like, he was not, because sometimes you could say something like that to someone and be like, oh, cool, thanks, kid.
Right.
But he
Yeah,
was,
whatever.
like, so humble, so sweet. And I gave him my banner and he took it and he like looked at it and he was asking me about it. And like, and he hung it up, and my banner is hanging in Yasuaki Karate School in Hong Kong. And like, so for me, again, like, how do I get to do these things? I don't know, man. It's just because I never grew up and I never gave up on a dream of teaching martial arts.
It's fun. Don't grow up. Growing up sucks.
It's what I do. Yeah, overrated.
But yeah, Legend of a Fighter. I mean, just he's been in so much.
Great in that movie. Yeah.
When we were watching So Close, which is kind of like Hong Kong Charlie's Angels in a way,
yes,
but better. We were kind of having fun. Well, it's kind of fun, right? We're not really blown away, but we're having, it's entertaining. We're like, it's okay. And then this dude shows up. And the end fight scene with him, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Where the hell did this come from? Made the movie legit.
Yeah.
So Close is legit now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He is legend. He is
and
legend.
He also met Bruce Lee. And remember, I told you Bruce Lee's nickname was Three-Leg Lee.
Right.
When Yasuaki Karate met Bruce Lee, and they actually have photos together, someone told him, like, his name is, before he met him, his nickname is Three-Leg Lee. And Yasuaki Karate did not know who Bruce Lee was before he met him. And when he heard that, he thought Bruce actually had 3 legs, like he was deformed or something. He talked about an interview and he said, like, when he met him, he thought, and he's like, oh no, this is a normal guy. He's kind of a small guy. But then he said one thing about Bruce Lee, and again, Yasuaki Karate, a movie star, but also a legit martial artist.
Right.
He said that when he shook Bruce Lee's hand,
he
said Bruce Lee had a very firm handshake, but when he looked at him, he saw that Bruce Lee had a relaxed face. Like when people give you a firm handshake, you can tell they're kind of trying.
Yeah, right.
He said he was very relaxed, and he said, oh, this man is the real deal. He knew it right there, right? And so, and Yasuaki Karate comes from a legit Okinawan martial arts stock, and he is also a legit martial artist. So then, again, another legit martial artist that praised Bruce Lee.
Yeah. It's just, I'm not surprised at this point. But yeah, that's really awesome. But it's cool that you're in his dojo here. But speaking of dojo stories, I gotta ask, did you have any knuckleheads come in your dojo and try to challenge you and your students?
Well, I
every day. No, just kidding.
So, not really. I mean, the heyday of like kung fu schools in New York challenging each other, that was really the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
I'll probably have Sifu Carl Albright be on my podcast. He's from the old school where they used to like fight all the time. So I want to bring him on and have him tell old New York stories.
Oh, I have to hear that.
Yeah, I'm new school, everything, because everyone's doing MMA and jiu-jitsu. So all the kung fu guys are friends now. We're not fighting each other anymore.
Right.
And so it's like a different time period. But yeah, I did have some, people show up and some weird stuff and this and that. I actually talked about it on some podcasts. Some of the Wing Chun guys sent some people or whatever. And these stories usually end up being a lot funnier than they are serious. But I will tell you one funny story. Some guy came into my school, an older guy. He was in his 50s. He reminded me, you ever listen to Jerky Boys, Saul Rosenberg?
Yeah.
The guy could have been Saul Rosenberg. He comes in and he's like, I used to do New York's nothing but characters. I used to do the Tai Chi, but I don't do it anymore because, and then he goes, he practiced Tai Chi to such a high level that he could start to levitate.
Oh, shit.
But the dude is in his 50s. He's an unassuming guy. He's not like a crazy dude. He looks like a normal dude. He tells this to me and I'm like, and he goes, it was so crazy that he couldn't go near airports because he couldn't control his levitating anymore. So like for fear of levitating and getting hit by an incoming plane, he tells me this with a straight face.
Wow.
And so like, that's another thing. I had a dude who came in who said that he learned Jeet Kune Do from Bruce Lee in the Dominican Republic in the 60s. And he swore by this story. So like, we have some people who came in and wanted to test us out, but I have more like emotionally disturbed people showing up to my New York school stories, like people walking in a ninja outfit. Dude came in a full ninja outfit to my school once, and he didn't have a backpack, which meant he didn't change in the hallway. He walked on the street in that ninja outfit and came to my school in broad daylight, right? And so
you get the 5150s.
yeah, it's just nuts. It's just nuts. Like, so I've compiled all these stories over time, and
Oh my God,
they're hysterical. Absolutely hysterical.
Speaking of ninja, what's your favorite ninja movie?
Revenge of the Ninja.
I knew it.
It's the best.
It's hard to top. It's
It is
like
hard to top.
it's just so good.
Ninja porn you could ask for. It's peak Sho Kasugi, in my opinion. Ninja 3: The Domination is a crazy, wacky movie on its own.
It's
right,
fun.
but it didn't. There wasn't enough Sho Kasugi, and he was too second fiddle for me. Enter the Ninja. Franco Nero is like the David Carradine of ninja actors.
He's awesome in westerns, and
he's awesome in westerns.
Keep him in Django and all that.
Exactly. But no, Revenge of the Ninja. A lot of people like Pray for Death. And if we're
fun.
If we're excluding Chinese ninja movies like Five Elemental Ninja and all like the Taiwanese ninja movies, we're talking like canon ninja movies.
Yeah.
You cannot top Revenge of the Ninja any day. You cannot.
It still holds up.
Absolutely.
It's still fun. Absolutely. So we're going to play a little fun game here.
Okay.
I'm going to show these actors, martial artists, and you're going to rank 3 is average out of 5. You're going to rank what you think, your opinion of what level their martial arts skill is at.
So 5 being top?
Yeah. And 3 being average.
Terrible, and 3 being average. Okay.
Yeah. And then tell me what's your favorite movie of the actor. Okay?
All right.
Now, we can get this one out the way, because we already said Revenge of the Ninja. So, Sho Kasugi.
He's a 5 all the way. Revenge of the Ninja. Look, this is in the opening minutes of the movie, mind you. All right? I mean, come on. Any movie that opens with this is like, that's gold.
Yeah. I actually met Sam Furstenberg, the director. I got my photo with him. Very nice guy. And just like Liu Fang, same type of experience. Didn't realize he had a lot of fans. Very humble.
Yeah.
Great guy. All right. So Sho Kasugi's getting a 5 from Alex. All right. Let's keep it going here. All right. Martial arts skill ranked and favorite movie from Chuck.
Ooh, from Chuck. Okay, so martial artist. Okay, let's give him a 4.
Okay.
But he never looked better than he did in Way of the Dragon, even though he gets his ass kicked. I don't think he ever really looked as good as he did when it takes 2 to tango. He looked great in Way of the Dragon.
Right. Well, look who he's working with here. Yeah,
look at that. Kicking a heavy bag that's wearing a Cosby sweater. I mean, come on.
Oh, but Lone Wolf McQuaid is a fun film, though. All right. Rest in peace. One of my favorites, Sonny Chiba.
Sonny Chiba. Absolutely. Well, original Street Fighter. Absolutely. So martial artist, legit. He was a student of Masoyama. So he's a 5 all the way. He's legit as they come. He was a legit Kyokushin martial artist.
Yeah.
Obviously, original Street Fighter. But, I loved his part in Kill Bill. Sometimes I just watch that part.
Yeah.
Because I love it by itself. I would love to have seen a movie of him and his backstory. The whole Hattori Hanzo, like a backstory. Like, I feel we got cheated out of having that film.
I know, or at least having to do a little quick fight scene.
Yes.
Did you see the surprise interview with Keanu Reeves with him?
I did not actually.
So check it out. It's awesome. Check it out on YouTube. It's during I don't know if it's John Wick 2. I forgot which John Wick it was, but he was in Japan being interviewed about he's doing his press release and all that and promoting the movie, and they did it on purpose. They surprised him. They had Sonny Chiba just walk out there, and Keanu Reeves was like fanboying. It's really cool, man. And then they have like an interview together. Check that out. Rest in peace, Chiba. All right, here we go. Martial art level and favorite movie, Van Damme.
Van Damme. Okay, so obviously his martial arts skill, I would give it a 5. Whether he's like a true hardcore fighter or whatever, okay, you leave that for the internet. But I mean, come on, no one who kicks that way is a 3. Okay, I
right.
mean, look at Pete Van Dam there, taking all the sauce, all the secret sauce, and
the sauce.
Yeah. And that film you showed right there, Bloodsport. By the way, when you did the Bloodsport kickboxer thing, I had the internet issue and I couldn't be on that one. And that killed me for a couple reasons. One, I can give one of the best live commentaries of Bloodsport ever. I know everything about that movie. 2, I'm a huge Viking Samurai fan. And there I had a chance to be. And then, like, my internet died. And I was like, oh, damn it, you know.
I know.
I hope I can do something with Viking Samurai at some point in the future. He's awesome. Bloodsport. My favorite Van Damme movie, and he's fantastic.
All right, here we go. Next one, Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren, hey, also another Kyokushin fighter. He's as legit as they come. He actually fought in Kyokushin, and Kyokushin is full contact. You can see videos of him fighting on YouTube, like legit. Yeah. So give him a 5. Come on, was he ever better than in Rocky 4? I don't know. Right? I mean, like, he's done. I mean, obviously he's the bad guy in there as well. Universal Soldier, he's great. Yeah. Showdown in Little Tokyo, but I mean,
hey, it's your pick.
Come on,
Rocky 4.
Drago, if he dies, he dies. Come on, come on.
Did you hear about this story right here? This shot in I Come in Peace, aka Dark Angel. Did you hear what happened here?
No. What did he?
So the guy on the right, he didn't go to the mark he was supposed to go to on the floor, and he missed it. So he was supposed to stand a certain way, so that way he doesn't get really kicked by Dolph. So the stuntman screwed up and went forward too much, and Dolph knocked him out legit.
Damn.
And they had to take him to the hospital. They had to take him to the hospital.
Dolph's a big dude, and for a big strong dude like that to kick that way, that's not easy. Dolph is, and he's also like a Rhodes Scholar too. I think a lot of people don't know that about him. I mean,
he's a fucking genius.
I mean, nothing but respect for Dolph Lundgren. Holy cow!
All right, here we go. Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. Wow. Well, obviously, he's a number. I mean, look, if we say martial artist, we don't mean necessarily fighter, but obviously he's the man. You give him a 5 in martial arts. Well, number 1 Jackie Chan movie. That's difficult because I'm like, like you, man. You're like, oh, when it comes to geek culture, what do? You got categories.
It's right? Tough. Yeah.
Why do we have categories? Because we don't want to decide. All right.
Yeah.
So, wow. But overall, best Jackie Chan movie.
For me, it's Drunken Master 2.
Project A.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Or Drunken Master 2. Like
Project A. You said Project A.
Because you have the fighting. It's not a kung fu movie, but it's still a little old style, and you have stunts.
Yeah.
And you have kind of the comedy. It kind of has a little bit of everything that Jackie Chan can do.
Nice. Yeah, Project A is phenomenal. All right, let's keep it going. We're having fun here. Tony Jaa.
Tony Jaa, wow. I mean, they took in the early 2000s, they took all the stuff they were doing in Hong Kong back in the 80s and brought it back.
Hell yeah.
And with the extra Thai-style elbows and the traditional Thai-style martial arts. I mean, I feel Tony's career misfired a little bit because there were a lot of years he wasn't doing great stuff. As a martial artist, hey, who can look at those skills and say this guy is average, right? He's absolutely a 5. Man, am I just going to say everyone is a 5 except for Chuck? Only because
a
4, which
a 4 is pretty good.
But just because I'm a little salty with Chuck. All right. So, and one must ask, where did all of Chuck's chest hair go? Because it's gone in the those Total Gym commercials. He's got no chest hair anymore, and his chest hair was a plot point of Way of the Dragon. So, Tony Jaa, obviously number 5 in martial art. He had a fight scene with one of my kung fu brothers, Chris Collins, in a film that came out. Man, for the life of me, I cannot remember it right now. But man, the original Ong Bak, I think. Yeah. I mean, just because it was the first and it blew everyone's mind when it came out. Because,
All right. Steven Seagal.
Oh wow. So as an Aikido martial artist, definitely give him a 5. And I like old style Steven Seagal. I don't like the guy who Steven Seagal is now. All right. I actually talked to Steven Seagal while I was on the toilet, by the way. yeah, a friend of mine who's a producer in Hong Kong, he was making a movie with Steven Seagal, and Steven Seagal had a Wing Chun question, and the producer goes, "I know just the guy to answer your Wing Chun question." And they call me from Hong Kong or Thailand or wherever they were, and I happened to be on the toilet when they called. And so I take the phone call, and it's like, "Hey, I have Steven Seagal here. He's got a question for you." And I'm like, okay, and literally talked to Steven Seagal on the phone while I was on the toilet. He asked me a question about a Wing Chun Sifu, and he talked on the phone exactly like he does on the movies. He's like, "Sifu Richter, I have a little bit." It's like a breathy type William Shatner, all right, like a deeper William Shatner, right? So, and so yeah, it was crazy. So I actually spoke to Steven Seagal on the phone.
Wow.
I like the guy Steven Seagal used to be, at least because the way he did Aikido was violent and fast, and it was new, and it was amazing. I know people like Above the Law, people like Mark for Death, but I really like Hard to Kill.
All right.
The fight scenes are great. He gets like, he's in a coma. He has to go through the fighting montage. There's a lot of martial arts in there, and Kelly LeBrock.
There you go. Bonus. All right. We're going to Indonesia now. Iko Uwais.
Iko Uwais. Wow, he's amazing. Yeah, so what was it? What was the thing they did for Netflix that like something Assassins or whatever? Like he's great. But again,
I think it's Wu Assassins, the movie they did on there was The Night Comes for Us.
That's right. Yeah, which is just one of the most violent things ever made. I mean, like it's so over the top. It like loses any kind of like. It's just like watching a slasher flick, but like a gory slasher flick. But with
I love it. Right? I love it though. But yeah.
So I feel that with Iko, all the stuff he does is great, but he's got a little bit of the Tony Jaa thing, the primacy effect. The first thing he did. I mean, I think when you look at like those two Raid movies, you go, it's when you come in so hot with like an Ong Bak or a Raid. I think it's really difficult. Like Bruce's best movie wasn't Big Boss. He had a chance to get better.
Right.
But like I think some of their best movies were their first movies. As a martial artist, I mean, a 5. I mean, look at the way that he moves. I mean, this is not we're not looking at an Indonesian David Carradine here. We're someone who can actually move, right? So yeah, absolutely.
David Carradine fans are watching this stream going, "How dare you?" Oh man. But yeah, what's the movie? So
it'd be The Raid. I would definitely
the Raid, the first Raid. Okay,
first Raid.
Nice. All right, and here's a guy I've always thought was extremely underrated for us over here. For us, I thought he's always extremely underrated. I might do a video on him, but Yuen Bu.
Oh, Yuen Bu, yeah.
Look at this shit.
Yeah, as a martial art, I mean, he's literally him and Yuen Wah are the best from the Seven Fortunes, the Tatsiu Folk, which is the group, the opera group that they came from, the Seven Little Fortunes.
Yeah.
Yuen Bu and Yuen Wah were probably the most skillful of the entire bunch. But Jackie and Sammo, they had a chance to kind of really get their faces out there. Yuen Wah looks like a bad guy. And Yuen Bu, they always said he was kind of like too cocky to be a leading man or whatever. Wow. I mean, as a martial artist, 5, he's definitely underrated.
Yes.
Favorite Yuen Bu movie. I'm a huge Prodigal Son fan because I'm a Wing Chun nerd.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that was his best work. It's like he was great in everything and also like criminally underused, right? Like we discussed about Dragons Forever. Like, look how good he was in Dragons Forever. And he's a bit of a side fiddle in that movie.
Yeah.
But everything he did, he stood out. Righting Wrongs. He's amazing. Yeah. The movie you just saw, Millionaire's Express or Shanghai Express, he's amazing, but he was still kind of always second fiddle. So I don't know, like a movie where he was the main guy.
Maybe it's righting wrongs.
Yeah, it would have to be Righting Wrongs because he was great in everything, but he was always a second fiddle. So you almost can't call those Yuen Bu movies, right?
The Iceman Cometh was good.
Which one?
The Iceman Cometh. That was pretty good.
The Iceman Cometh was good. I mean, but again, the other movies, like he had like Kickboxer, which was kind of a, like a wire fu movie.
Right.
And yeah, he's another guy. I think he just missed his mark to be really great. But man, he's in Enter the Dragon. He's one of the guys in the white geese in the back.
I know.
He's an extra in that movie, right? And
but I think I'm gonna agree with you. I think Righting Wrongs is overall just a great movie. It really showcases his skills.
Absolutely.
All right. Mark Dacascos.
Mark Dacascos. So here's where we get into a little bit of a kind of a gray area of my martial arts movie stuff, because I'm definitely more of a kind of a Hong Kong guy, and when it comes to America stuff, like Van Damme kind of dude.
Right.
Mark Dacascos, his father is Al Dacascos, so he comes from a legit martial arts line. So give the man a 5 on martial arts skill.
Okay.
Only the Strong with the capoeira is amazing, especially considering he's not like a capoeira guy.
Yeah.
But I forget the name of the movie because I saw it when I lived in Germany, and I saw it with the German title, and I saw it dubbed in German. So I can also speak German, among other things.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the best German word is Schnellfickerhosen, which I said in a very American way so people could understand it.
Yeah.
Which means fast effer pants. All right. And you can make your mind up what that might mean. So, no, he made a movie, what was it called? Something with a wolf, Legend of the Wolf, something with the wolf.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yeah.
I saw that movie in Germany, dubbed in German, so it had whatever horrible German title. Yeah. And I thought that was great. I thought it was like, there were aspects that were like a little too long and things like that, but I thought that was really great. They were definitely trying to recreate the Hong Kong feel. So like that one stands out, and Only the Strong. So maybe Only the Strong, because that's the movie that I kind of saw in its original format.
Right. Check out Drive when you get a chance. Drive's really
not the one with Kadeem Hardison.
Yeah, check that out. Don't be fooled by the bad cover.
Okay, I saw that cover and I was like, okay, they're trying to do a rush hour type thing.
Legit Hong Kong style, believe it or not, fight scenes.
Check it out. I'll check it out.
All right, another guy who I think is extremely underrated. And it's sad, too, because I see a lot of people, I'm like, dude, this guy's so badass. He's so good. But I see a lot of people calling him Diet Jet Li. And it's fucked up. It's like, come on, this guy's great, dude. Oh, it's just Diet Jet Li again. I'm like, God damn it. But Vincent Zhao.
Yes, got it. Yeah. So, yeah, of course. So, you're right, because he had the unfortunate kind of luck he was like a villain in Fong Sai-yuk versus Jet Li, and then when Jet Li decided not to play Wong Fei-hung anymore in the Once Upon a Time in China series, he took over as Wong Fei-hung, which, by the way, anyone who plays Wong Fei-hung, which is like this iconic character of Chinese film, like a lot of people didn't like when Jet Li took it, because Quan Ta King was like the archetype of the Wong Fei-hung character. And I like Jet Li, and I thought the Once Upon a Time in China series was good, but it was weird to have a non-Cantonese speaker play Wong Fei-hung as a total kung fu nerd.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, Vincent Zhao, also a non-Cantonese speaker. So I'm like, look, you want to cast Wong Fei-hung, make sure the dude speaks Cantonese, all right? So, he gets a little bit of that. He's a wushu guy. I mean, he was... as a martial artist, give the man a 5. I mean, he's super legit, but he's another guy whose career, he was a little under the shadow, either as a villain. He was in the Black Sheep affair, which I thought was kind of fun. That was fun. Though, from that era were very undercranked. Those kind of like late 90s martial art films. They were super undercranked, and not a lot of people like those, so they don't have the staying power of some of the classic movies.
Right.
But I thought...
Still fun.
I thought Black Sheep affair, honestly, is the only movie off the top of my head that I can really say, like, that is a Vincent Zhao movie where he was kind of the main guy, because I didn't watch any of his Wong Fei-hung movies, because I was like, I'll take Jet Li, I'm not going to take this other guy, right? So maybe he is a Diet Jet Li.
No. I still think he's phenomenal, though. You haven't seen True Legend? True Legend, man. Maybe it's been a while. It
might have been. I don't know, because sometimes I see them by their Chinese titles, and I see so many of these, and if they don't stick out in my mind, I will even forget the Chinese title.
Okay, so Black Sheep affair for you. All right, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Gordon Liu, Master Killer now.
So, oh man, how can you look at this guy and not feel sad for his current life state?
I know.
I love Gordon Liu. He was also in the movie Heroes of the East, which made me love Kung Fu. So, like, Gordon Liu is like, I don't know. You know, it's weird you bring him up, because, like, I sometimes can't talk about him with getting a little teary-eyed.
It's all right.
So I love Gordon Liu. And obviously 36, as a martial artist, legit Kung Fu practitioner under his adoptive brother, Lau Leung, and just phenomenal martial artist, one of the sweetest guys. Wow, best Lau Ka-fai or Gordon Liu movie. For me, it's everyone loves 36 Chambers, but it's got to be Heroes of the East for me because he showcases so much of his martial arts skill, and you know, and he's got hair in that movie, which also makes it kind of unique, I suppose. And it's also the first one that I saw, so I love it for that reason.
Nice,
so
good choice.
A couple years ago, I was in Hong Kong, and you know, everyone knows Gordon Liu had a stroke, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and he's not in a proper hospital. He's kind of in the equivalent of an old folks home, and in my opinion, and this is not to say anything about his caretakers, I don't believe that he's actually getting the care that he needs in the current state that he's in. He did take some visitors up until a short time ago, and I was going to go see him, and then I was told that day, like, he's not going to take any visitors anymore because of his current condition doesn't allow him to take any visitors. Oh, man. And I heard that on the day. And when I heard that, I was in the Hong Kong MTR, which is their subway.
Yeah.
And basically it was told to me, like, he cannot take any more visitors. And his current condition is deteriorated to the point where maybe he doesn't want people to see him in that state anymore.
Right.
I put my Bruce Lee sunglasses on, and I was in the MTR, and I was literally crying on the Hong Kong MTR. And I was just there the whole time, like, you know, thousands of Chinese people coming in and coming out. I'm taking the MTR from one side of Hong Kong to the other. And I'm literally just sitting there crying. I just like, because, you know, and it wasn't because, I didn't get a chance to see him. And it wasn't my own, like, I wanted to meet him. Yeah. It was because of his current state.
Right.
And like, and that stuff, it just killed me. And I had such a hard time. I still kind of tear up when I think about him.
Yeah. So since is it still the same right now?
I don't think he's getting better. I'm not at liberty to discuss.
That's fine.
Was told to me. So, but
that's fine.
Yeah, it kills me inside.
Well, I hope he recovers.
Me too.
You know, but you know, I don't want to say the worst, but it's probably going to hit me just as bad as Sonny Chiba passing.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. I'm not looking forward to that day, man.
But he's legend though, man.
Absolutely.
And there's so much. What a legacy.
Yeah.
That he's created. I mean, it just brings a smile to my face, man. Eight diagram pole fighter and all. I mean, the martial club, like, way before we had a fight scene in an alleyway in Killzone, we had martial club, son.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
narrower
just
and narrower as they continue on.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
He's even great. Like, he was in Tiger on Beat 2.
Yeah, chainsaw fight.
Villain in there, I believe the chainsaw or whatever. Like,
and Kill Bill. He was great in Kill Bill.
Yeah, he was great in Kill Bill.
Both of them.
Funny story. Quentin Tarantino originally wanted to play the role of Pai Mei in Kill Bill, and they got him in all the makeup, and Gordon Liu was there.
Yeah.
Gordon Liu laughed at Quentin and told him that he looked like Santa Claus. And that was part of the reason why then he got to take that role. Yeah. Which is funny because, you know, in his early days, in, you know, Fists of the White Lotus, Clan of the White Lotus, he fought Pai Mei, and here he was playing Pai Mei in Kill Bill, right?
Wow, that's kind of funny. That's probably for the best that Gordon Liu took over.
Yeah, can you imagine Quentin Tarantino as Pai Mei?
I remember watching Kill Bill 2 in the theater, and I remember the audience instantly gravitated towards Gordon Liu in the movie. Like, he made them laugh. They all, you know, they instantly loved the guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
Legend. All right, let's keep the legend going here. Cynthia Rothrock.
Cynthia Rothrock. Well, Cynthia Rothrock, through Vincent Lin, she came to my school, and I was like so nervous and so fanboying the whole time. I'm like, it's Cynthia Rothrock. She's in your school. Don't act weird. Like, this is the internal monologue going on in my head. Stop acting weird. Stop looking at her. Try to act more normal. Stop looking at her.
Stop looking at her.
Does she notice that I'm looking at her? You're acting weird. Stop acting weird, right? And I had the chance to go and, you know, have like, we went to like a Japanese dessert place, and I sat and talked to her. She signed a movie poster with Vincent Lin that's hanging in my school.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about like pioneer to go not only as a female in headline films, but as a non-Chinese in headline films in Hong Kong, and to get the respect of someone like Sammo Hung, for her work ethic, and
Yeah.
she's amazing. And her episode on the Scott Adkins Art of Action is like one of my favorite. Like just listen to her talk. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I like her in the as a martial artist. Obviously, she's a 5. She did Tang Sudo, but she also went to New York and learned Eagle Claw from Sam Leung up here. So she actually learned real legitimate Chinese martial arts styles. Wow, Millionaires Express had fight scene with Sammo Hung. She's absolutely amazing in there. But again, she's not really like the main star.
Right.
Well, her and Michelle Yeoh in Yes Madam, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
how like literally, how are you going to top that? Like,
You can't. It's tough. Yeah. Police Assassins or Yes Madam.
Right
yeah.
there, right?
Yeah. Blonde Fury was great too, but it's all about police assassins.
She kicks Vincent in the groin for Rio. He probably told those stories. I mean, he told. I love when he tells those stories. She's great. She beat the living snot out of him.
You know, the Expendables movies are a lot of fun. I enjoy them. But the new one coming out, they announced that Megan Fox is part of the crew, and I'm kind of like, like, did we forget someone again?
Yeah,
again.
Fox, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like, look, if you want Megan Fox in there for eye candy and have her do some action, that's fine. But for hardcore fans, like, where's Michelle Yeoh? There's so many.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many.
Absolutely.
Legitimate badass female martial artists out there. There's legends. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
but anyway,
Cynthia Rothrock absolutely belongs in an Expendables movie.
Yeah, you can have them both in there. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But let's keep it going here. Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen, the IP man. All right, Donnie Yen. Well, yeah, as a martial artist, he's also a 5. He learned wushu from his mother, who still teaches in Boston. By the way, you can still go to the school. His mother's school, if you go to Boston Chinatown, it's there. You can literally walk right up to it.
Nice.
Yeah, well, so I'm a Wing Chun guy, so everyone is going to think that, like, I love the Yip Man movies, right? But I'm super critical of those movies because I'm a Yip Man nerd.
Yeah.
I love SPL.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love Kung Fu Killer or Kung Fu Jungle, whichever title it goes by, because it's a showcase of the different styles of martial arts. It's a bit of a suspense film.
Yeah.
And I think he just looked so great in that movie. And it was also like an ode to Kung Fu films in Hong Kong and the Hong Kong Stuntman Association. And so you had all these cameos from people like Raymond Chow is in it. You had all these cameos in there. And I feel that, especially given where a lot of Hong Kong films are going now because of China and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That, for me, is kind of the last hurrah of that style of action. And so
it's one of his best.
Yeah, if people out there who have not seen Kung Fu Jungle or Kung Fu Killer, I think is what it goes by now. For me, that is really like kind of a love letter to Kung Fu movies and Hong Kong stuntmen in the modern day. And it's just great. I think it's fantastic.
Nice. To go back to Yip Man really quick, just to go off topic here. We both love the movie. It's phenomenal. And the sequels are fun, but they're just not as good as the first one. But Yip Man, the movie, obviously kind of helped popularize Wing Chun a little bit, at least to the Westerners over here.
Yes.
Was this a good thing or a bad thing, in your honest opinion?
There's no such thing as bad publicity as long as they spell your name right. And with a Yip Man's name, it's questionable. So, no, this is great. In fact, every time, what's interesting is every time another Yip Man movie comes out, or as I like to say, another IP Man movie comes out, someone comes to my school and says, hey, I saw the IP Man movie. I want to do Wing Chun. Okay. And so, hey, then that's my chance. The movie brought them to me, and now I have a chance to educate them about the real life Yip Man and the real life art that he taught. Yeah. So I look at it as a positive thing. Oddly enough, one of the things that I call the Yip Men movie, when I talk about them collectively, I call them the Yip Men movie, is it brings a lot of Chinese students to our school who have a chance to see him as a Chinese hero and then get inspired to do the martial arts of their culture and learn it from some white dude who's really into Chinese stuff. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, I mean, on the whole, they've been very, very positive, and it's given me tons of content dispelling a lot of the things that are in the film. So, hey, keep them coming.
All right. Nice. Good. That's great to hear. All right. Jet Li.
Jet Li. I love Jet Li. Obviously, wushu champ from mainland China. You know, he even performed in front of Nixon when he was younger. And who's not legit who didn't perform in front of Nixon? So Jet Li, yeah, as a martial artist, obviously a 5. I mean, he's a legit champion for. I mean, whether he's a fighter or not, okay, that's another story. But we're talking about martial artists.
Martial artist,
absolutely a 5. I really like his old films. Obviously, Shaolin Temple is the film that you kind of made him. My one complaint about Shaolin Temple is he does a lot of wushu sequences, so it's not a lot of. There's some of the choreography. Those are like standardized wushu sets that he does, and I wish some of the choreography was a little bit more original. But hey, for a first movie, I mean, he's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love Fist of Legends, and partially also because of the Yasuaki Karada cameo, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's great because as much of a Bruce Lee fan as I am, and normally you would think I'm not a fan of people remaking his films,
right.
I thought that Fist of Legend was an intelligent remake of Fist of Fury. They paid homage to the original, and they took it in another direction and changed some of the elements of the story. Like he had a Japanese girlfriend,
right,
and like his conflicts with his seniors in the school. And I thought it was a very smart adaptation of the original source material. And yeah, the fighting is a little bit undercranked. It's a little bit sped up, but that was pretty normal in that time period.
Yeah.
I like Fist of Legend. I think Fist of Legend is one of my
classic
favorite Jet Li films. Yeah.
Yeah, it's classic. All right. Scott Adkins.
Scott Adkins. Wow. Well, hey, this guy is someone who's definitely put in the hard work to get, to where he is. I think Scott Adkins, if he came up in the 80s, he would because I think unfortunately with the way like movies are not the same as where everything is streamed, you don't get the same level of excitement that you used to. And I feel that Scott Adkins, if he came instead of Van Damme, he would be Van Damme. He would be the guy Van Damme.
Easy.
I mean, look, he's so good. And when you hear him talk on his podcast, and when you hear him like how much he fanboys about him, he just seems like the nicest dude. And like, and like, so how can you not be an absolute Scott Adkins fan, right?
Yeah.
So I like the whole Boyka, what are this like the
Undisputed.
Yeah, Undisputed, right?
Yeah.
Those are great because he also plays kind of like a character, and like it's become like its own thing, separate from the movies.
I'm the most complete fighter in the world.
Yes. Yeah. Ninja 2, right? I thought Ninja 2 was really fantastic.
This was legit.
Ninja 2 was actually the first Scott Adkins movie that I saw, so it's probably got a little bit of that primacy effect. It was the first one that I saw.
Yeah.
I thought he was great in Yip Man 4, like for what he was. I mean, an actor is only as good as the script that you give them, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's got to be a little bit over the top and be like the racist American Marine guy or whatever.
Right.
But when you look at his fight scenes, I mean, he's just fantastic. So I love Scott Adkins. I think he's great. Martial artist, absolute 5. Favorite movie, I would probably say, the Undisputed series, I think is really, really great.
We can cheat and do that.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of Undisputed, Michael J. White.
Ooh, Michael J. White. Him and his salty comments about Bruce Lee.
that he has taken back.
That he has taken back, of course, after all the backlash. So, legit martial artist. He is also another Kyokushin exponent. So he's a legit top of the food chain, black belt, competed, real martial artist. I think that... he's another guy. I think like the time period and like it just doesn't matter. Like these guys needed to come up in the 80s or early 90s.
Early 90s,
really see their true potential. It's like nowadays it's so difficult to become a martial arts action star because
it's hard.
A lot of them are a dime a dozen. Like you got a camera. There are people on YouTube who can put together a Hong Kong style fight scene and the Martial
Club badasses. Look at them. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So, wow, I don't even watch that many Michael J. White movies.
I was waiting. I was like, I'm curious which Michael J. White movie you're gonna pick.
But I think
you're gonna cheat and say Undisputed 2.
Yeah, right. Well, didn't he direct one of like Never Back Down or something like that? Like the one that he directed, I actually thought was really good.
The one with Josh Barnett.
Yeah, I thought he actually did a really good job with that. But
there's the third one.
Michael J. White was better in his non-martial arts stuff. I thought he was great in Spawn. All right?
Yeah.
And he also played Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a great job as Mike Tyson. He looked like Mike Tyson stuff. So I don't know, like not like a huge like I haven't watched a lot of Michael Jai White. I've
seen Black Dynamite?
Michael Jai White at conventions, and I've seen him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But not a huge fan. The Bruce Lee stuff, even if it's true, even if yeah, bro, a big heavyweight dude could totally beat a lighter fighter or whatever. It's like that's like me saying, like, you know, someone who's 2 feet short, like, I can totally smash that guy, bro. No, I just want you to know that that guy who's way smaller and lighter than me, if we really fought, I just want you to know, so you know, I could smash that guy. All right. I just find that even if it's true, you don't come off well when you say
right. Well, that's probably why he took it back. But I met Michael Jai White in real life. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
Have you seen Black Dynamite?
Black Dynamite is great.
Hilarious.
Is really great.
Rick says that's his best film, in his opinion.
Could be.
Black Dynamite is, because he's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. Another guy who is amazing, and I feel he's underrated, Terry Fan, baby.
Yes, absolutely.
This dude is legit.
Fan Siu Wong, right? Yeah, he's first of all, he's so great in the first Yip Man movie there as the Northerner or whatever. And obviously, a lot of people don't even realize that's Ricky from Story of Ricky. Like, people don't even realize that. That movie must be totally up your alley, by the way, right?
Oh, I've pre-ordered the 4K. You know it's coming out in 4K, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it, yeah. Love
Incredible. Yeah. And I think the Chinese title is literally Power King Lit Wong. It's just like the most simple title ever, right? It's not something like Story of Ricky or something. I might be mistaken, but I think it is a super simple Chinese title.
It's such a fun movie.
Yeah, such a fun movie. So he's great. And you know that his father is a kung fu movie guy back in the day.
Yeah, Shaw Brothers.
Fan Mui Sung. And he was in the movie Magnificent Butcher with Sammo Hung. He plays the old Sam C kind of drunken master role because Yun Siu Tin, the drunken master, was supposed to play that role in Magnificent Butcher of the teacher, and he passed away. And then so they got Fan Siu Wong to replace him. They had already shot a bunch of scenes, which is why when you see the old cover of Magnificent Butcher, you actually see Yun Siu Tin on the cover in like his drunken master style getup.
Oh,
and then but they got Fan Mui Sang to replace him, and then they had to reshoot some of those scenes. And he wasn't that old then, so they had to put the wig on him and make him a little bit older.
Oh,
but that short kind of pudgy guy is actually Louis Fan's father.
Yeah, and, he plays the warden in Ricky O.
Yes, absolutely. And so I liked them in the first Yip Man movie. He's also in Kung Fu Killer. He has one of the fight scenes in there where he gets beaten, unfortunately. I actually thought he was pretty decent in Attrition opposite Steven Seagal.
He was.
Yeah.
He was.
And Attrition is, by the way, the best thing Steven Seagal's made in, since...
forever,
Forever, all right? Yeah. So I'm not going to get into that.
He's actually making an effort.
Yes, he's
in Attrition. I was like, wow, he's actually kicking.
Yes.
All right.
Kicking, yeah. Although some of it is stunt doubled, but
Yeah, I know.
But no, I thought Louis was great in that, and his father, Fan Mui Sang, who's also in Attrition, by the way, he actually plays the Sifu, and so that old guy is actually Fan Mui Sang, who plays the Sifu, both Steven Seagal and Louis Fan in there.
Right.
Louis Fan is one of the rare guys who knew Bruce Lee and believed Bruce Lee was murdered. And
really?
And he, to this day, absolutely believes Bruce Lee is murdered, and that's a story for a whole other podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so Chad, you know where to go. Kung Fu Genius, baby. That's right. So, what was your favorite? What did you think, maybe Yip Man or Kung Fu Jungle?
So, I thought he was great in Yip Man. I felt he was almost outstaging Donnie Yen a little bit, and Rick, we talked about it when we did that episode.
Yeah.
So he feels that's the reason why he kind of unceremoniously left the movie halfway through, right? Instead of being what you probably thought he was going to be, which would be the end villain, right?
Right.
So, but I have to say, I thought he never really looked better as a hardcore guy than in Yip Man 1.
Yeah. Phenomenal work. And last one, there's billions of them, but I don't want to keep you for like 6 hours, and you got to get some sleep. But the last one, Sammo Hung.
Oh, thank you so much. I was worried you weren't going to do. I love Sammo Hung, and I met Sammo Hung on my very first trip to Hong Kong in 1996. There you go, right there. That was one of a number of photos that I had with him.
Look at that guy, Baby Alex.
Yeah, look, there's the baby kung fu. Look, man, I look like a child there. I'm like, hello, Mr. Hung. I really like your movies. I think you're great, man. I look like olive oil in that photo. Jesus Christ, man! Someone tell that guy to train his neck. Come on. So that was my first trip to Hong Kong in 1996. I had just graduated high school. My parents were like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to go to Hong Kong." And so my parents surprised me with a trip to Hong Kong. And
Wow.
I went there. We stayed at the Royal Regal Hotel in Sha Tin. And which, oddly enough, my wife, who is from Hong Kong, she grew up like literally right around the corner from that hotel. Of course, wouldn't meet her for many years, but she
Right.
grew up right around there. I stayed in that hotel. I got up one morning to have the breakfast at the hotel, and Sammo Hung walks by. And I like dropped my spoon into my kanji, and my hands start shaking because if you had asked me the day before Sammo Hung came, would I rather meet Sammo Hung or Jackie Chan? I would tell you I want to meet Sammo Hung. Like Sammo Hung, that's the guy I want to meet.
Yeah.
He walks in to the hotel and with his wife Joyce Gedenzi, they sit down, they start having breakfast, and I'm like literally hyped. My mom is like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "That is Sammo Hung over there." She's like, that chubby Chinese guy? I go, "Yes." He's like a legend of Hong Kong film. He sparred with Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. He was in Eastern Condors, Dragons Forever. And I'm like, I gotta go run up and get my book. I had Hong Kong Action Cinema by Bay Logan. I brought that book with me to Hong Kong. There was a whole chapter on Sammo Hung.
Yeah.
I run upstairs. I grab the book. I asked the waiter, could you ask him if he could sign this for me? And he was having breakfast. He goes up to Sammo and then asks him for me. And he says, "Yes, Sammo will come as soon as he's done with his breakfast, and he will come and sign that for you." And Sammo finished his breakfast. He came up to me. This is a year or so before martial law. He barely spoke any English, but I didn't speak any Cantonese at that time, but he tried. And he was like, I was saying, "Oh, I love Kung Fu. I love your movies." Like, "Thank you." He signed the book. He let me take photos with him. He put his arm around me. He couldn't, they always say, don't meet your heroes. Like if you thought David Carradine was your hero and you met him, spoiler alert, he was a freaking jerk. All right. He would tell children to F off. Okay. So Sammo Hung couldn't be sweeter. And like, I was so happy. And to this day, one of the greatest, I mean, obviously save for the birth of my children and all that, one of the greatest days of my life. I love Sammo Hung more than probably any of the other Hong Kong film action stars. For me, he did everything Jackie did, but he did it in that frame. And, and for who he is and what he's done and whatever. I mean, on the Mount Rushmore of Hong Kong cinema, Sammo is there next to Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah,
without question.
Oh yeah. So martial arts level a 1, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely a 5, right?
Okay,
as legit as they come.
What's the movie? I'm interested. What's the movie?
Difficult because again, as any true geek, I have like from his classic movies to his modern action movies and so on and so forth. Obviously, I love Prodigal Son. It's one of my favorite movies, but it's not really a Sammo Hung film.
Right.
Obviously, he directed it, but he just has kind of a cameo bit in it. So, and it's hysterical and it's great. I like Magnificent Butcher. I think Magnificent Butcher really showcases him at his kung fu peak. He's got amazing stunts. He's doing the kung fu comedy just as good as Jackie Chan. And it has one of the best fight scenes, even though it's not a Sammo Hung fight scene. The calligraphy fight scene between Quan Da King and Lei Hoi Sang at the beginning is amazing, where he's challenging him, but not openly. And Wong Fei Hung is so like coolly fighting him with a pen and everything like that. And he's finishing the calligraphy. And he says, if you can finish that calligraphy, like I'll take off you take my shoe, or I'll take your shoe or whatever.
Yeah.
And he finishes the calligraphy while they're having this fight scene. And then he holds it up. And in true Wong Fei Hung Quan Da King fashion, the calligraphy is to teach his enemy a lesson. And then it's Yan Mo Dik. I think Yan Mo Dik is what it says. And it's the man of virtue is invincible.
Look at that.
That is what it says on the calligraphy. It's great. The rest of that movie is amazing. Sammo Hung the end fight scene of Magnificent Butcher where he fights Lei Hoi Sang, which
It's ridiculous.
I saw Lei Hoi Sang on the street once in Hong Kong. I was with my wife. Lei Hoi Sang, who's obviously much older now, obviously 36 Chambers, legendary villain.
Mm-hmm.
He was buying fish with his wife at a market, and I saw him, and it was like, like it's like, and I told my wife, I'm like, that's Lei Hoi Sang. He's like, who's that old guy? He looks like a grandpa. She grew up in Hong Kong. She doesn't know who any of these people are, right?
Right.
Again, totally geeked out. I think
another
Magnificent
legend.
Butcher. There's too many great films to choose from, but Magnificent Butcher has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Fantastic movie. Frank Jang, the master remaster, our homie, Eastern Condors is his favorite.
Yeah.
Again, there's so many, right?
Sammo got thin for that role. You see him really going on, and Yun Hua in there at the end, and the fights too
Eastern good.
Condors is also good. I mean, again, how can you really pick a favorite from someone who's done so many great films and has done so many different types of films? He's the best.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough, but he is legend, and I actually got lucky and I met him myself.
Wow.
He came down to there was a premiere in Hollywood, and he was showing just for that night Pedicab Driver.
Wow.
In the movie theater, and that's where I ran into Benny the Jet, and Sammo was there, and he told of course he had to tell his Bruce Lee story when he met Bruce.
About the kick and everything.
Yeah, about him. Bruce beating him to the punch.
Yes.
And of course we all had fun with the movie. There's another really great Sammo Hung movie right there.
The fight scene between Sammo Hung and Lau Kar-leung, because Sammo Hung was like the king at Golden Harvest and in the other independent films for choreographing films, and Lau Kar-leung was that guy for Shaw Brothers. So to a certain degree, they were actually kind of competitors for a long time, and then to have them fight each other in a scene, it's like you literally have the two goats fighting each other. And in Cantonese, it's so great because there's a saying in Cantonese which is "kun pa siu zhong," which is in fist fighting you have to fear the younger fighter. And Sammo, at first, he's kind of like gets the upper hand on Lau Kar-leung, and he says this line in Cantonese: "In fist fighting, you have to fear the younger fighter," right? And then later the Poles come out and they start battling with the Poles, and Lao Sifu starts smacking the hell out of Sammo Hung, and then he says "Guan pa lo long," which is, and in pole fighting, you fear the old wolf. So it's kind of like they have this, and kind of the battle of Chinese idioms while they're having this fight scene, and it's just Pedicab Driver is so great. Man.
That fight scene's insane between both
amazing.
of them. Two masters, two legends.
You will never see that again because the new generation, even if they can do all the acrobatics and stuff,
right?
The people who really have that knowledge from that time period, who can put it together and understand everything and do not need special effects to look good.
Right.
You can make everyone look good now, but those guys really had to be able to do it. I have to unfortunately say, I don't think we will ever surpass that. I think the peak is over. You'll have great action scenes.
Yeah.
People will do great stuff, but the people who could really do it that way back and forth and with those exchanges and everything.
Yeah. I mean, look at this shit. Look at this shit right here. Look at the timing on this.
Look at the timing on that.
This is insane.
Unbelievable.
And that's why they say that, it's the 80s with the golden era.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes, absolutely.
There's just too many good movies out there, man. And I can talk movies with you for hours because that's what we love doing here. And you rock because you know your shit.
Thank you.
You're one of my peeps. That's what we do.
Appreciate it. That means a lot to me.
I know it's really late for you over there. I don't want to keep you too much.
Oh, yeah, man, it's almost like 12:30.
I know, I'm
way
sorry.
Past my normal bedtime. I'm like an old man that goes to bed early normally.
Hey, but that just means you're having fun hanging out with the samurai, man.
Absolutely. This was great, man. Thank you so much for this, dude. I love your channel. I love the videos you do. I love Versus. You have such great ideas. You do such great stuff. You're absolutely phenomenal. And I hope that my students who might be watching this, that they subscribe to the Fat Samurai channel because you're amazing. I love the stuff you do. Thank you. Also, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do like Versus with Frank Jang and Rick and all of those guys. And hopefully I'll get on there with Viking Samurai at some point where my internet connection works. So I appreciate it. Man. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, I appreciate you hanging out, man. We we're gonna do more of these in the future. We're gonna talk about more movies and more martial arts stories.
Absolutely.
Oh, here we go. Oh, well, thank you for subscribing. They're already subscribing to the Samurai Guy. Look at that. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it. But yeah, man, again, this is your second home now, man. So anytime you want to come back, talk movies, you know how we do here. Chat, everybody watching, don't forget to subscribe to the Kung Fu Genius. That's right. I'm looking forward to these crazy, just interesting. You're gonna binge watch all the videos. I'm telling you right now. And if you're not gonna do it there, you can find it on Spotify, right?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So follow the show. Again, shout out to Dre, everybody down there in the East Coast representing, being badasses. That's right.
Appreciate
and,
it.
Alex, keep doing your thing, my friend.
Thank you. You too,
keep
man.
training
Thank
the
you so much.
younglings and the oldlings. I'd train with you, my friend, if I was out in the East Coast, but can't do it.
Anytime, man. I'll make it out there at some point. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, thanks again for watching, guys. Don't forget, tomorrow versus Seagal, baby. Out for Justice versus Under Siege. Oh, yeah. 6 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Make sure you guys are here. And Friday, we'll have a special guest as well. So, a lot of fun times. A lot of cool shit. Y'all know what to do. Subscribe to the Kung Fu Genius and the Samurai Guy. And we'll see you guys next time. Don't go anywhere, Alex. Peace out, guys.